Great shot of the lakefront here in Cleveland, Ohio, where it will be in the mid-70s today. There will be a slight breeze out of the southwest. There is a chance of rain. It rained here most of yesterday and on Friday. Marvin Lewis, we didn't know if he was going to come back as they played that last game against Baltimore a year ago, but they have figured out some ways to change that franchise, so he is back for his 9th year. And the former offensive coordinator for the Rams and a longtime NFL assistant, Pat Shurmur, is the new head coach of the Cleveland Browns. The Bengals won the toss. They have deferred. As you take a look at some of the notes from this long history between the Bengals and the Cleveland Browns. So the Bengals will kick off. And of course, with the new kickoff rules this year, Mike Nugent, who is coming off some knee surgery, will enjoy this along with every other kicker in the NFL. Most, as we have seen in preseason and in the first game between New Orleans and Green Bay, going into the end zone. And deep back will be Josh Cribbs. Probably no more dangerous return man in the NFL than Cribbs. You can see where he ranks in NFL history.
And what did he tell us? He said, hey, he's going to wait about, 3 seconds? If the ball gets to him in 3 seconds, he'll bring it out, no matter how deep he is in the end zone. But if he gets to 4 seconds, that's the barometer for him to go ahead and stay in and not bring it out.
Coverage teams by Cincinnati have been somewhat of an issue. They allowed 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns a season ago. It's the Bengals and the Browns, and Cribbs will watch it sail over his head and out of the end zone, so the touchback to the 20. The booze coming up. The fans not enjoying the new rule where the kickoffs are coming from. Bill Levy will get his crew assembled in officiating the game. Colt McCoy is the 10th different opening day starter at quarterback in 13 seasons for the Cleveland Browns.
Well, he's a guy that's caught the eye of the president, Mike Holmgren, of the general manager, Tom Heckert, and his new head coach, Pat Shurmur. And what they like about him is his efficiency, tends to make good decisions, and his accuracy, I think, is at a very high level for such a young quarterback.
And so he'll start things 1st and 10 from his own 20. Tipped right back to McCoy. Gathers was the one to bat it down, a loss of 5. And they're going to spot him back at about the 14-yard line. Let's talk about that Cleveland offensive line. Rookie Jason Pinkston replaces the injured Eric Steinbach at left guard. Cousins, by the way, going to start for Pashos at right tackle because of injury. Not a lot of experience at wide receiver as Mohamed Massaquoi, who missed all of preseason with an injury. He'll enter his 3rd year and play today.
McCoy completes his first pass of the game, but not to the intended receiver.
Hardesty is in motion. It is 2nd down and 15. And Peyton Hillis takes it out. It's a gain of 4. Tackle made by Geno Atkins. Now the Cincinnati defense. Pecco anchors that defensive line. And it is a stout one. Dhani Jones, who led Cincinnati in tackles a season ago, is gone. Now Ray Malaluga will be the middle linebacker. And the Bengals lost Jonathan Joseph to free agency. They replaced him with Nate Clemens, a free agent from the San Francisco 49ers. It is 3rd down and 11.
False start, number 66, offense. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
So that goes on Laval, Sean Laval. And take a look at Pat Shurmur, who's the nephew of the late Fritz Shurmur, who was a longtime defensive coordinator in the National Football League.
Yeah, we'll have a lot of time to talk about him, the lineage in which Pat Shurmur comes to Cleveland. But right now, this offense is not where they want to be, facing a 3rd and long.
In the nickel, 3rd and 16. Peyton Hillis hit by Atkins. And it's a gain of 6. Thomas Howard, the ex-Raider, is over there as well. They get out to the 20-yard line. So the Browns, on their first offensive possession, have got to punt the ball.
Yeah, and so much of what the Browns want to do, when we talked to Colt McCoy, he said we have to be more successful on 1st and 2nd down to stay out of those 3rd and long situations. You can see the completion to himself on 1st down. Then the penalty puts him in a deep hole. And punting isn't such a bad thing when you have such a young quarterback.
This is Richmond McGee who is going to punt, and it's a bad punt off the side of his foot and out of bounds. And so the Bengals offense is going to get great beginning field position. Deep back was Brandon Tate. The regular punter, Reggie Hodges, tore his Achilles the second day of camp for Cleveland, so they went with McGee, and a bad punt right there for him. This takes us now to Andy Dalton, who is the rookie, second-round pick out of TCU. He is the first Bengal rookie quarterback to start on opening day, Solomon, in 42 years.
Going back to 1969 when Greg Cook started for the Cincinnati Bengals as a rookie quarterback. And Andy Dalton, boy, a lot on his shoulders with the departure of Carson Palmer.
They'll line up with a couple of tight ends, and Cedric Benson on first down and 10 goes out. And from behind, DeQuell Jackson will bring him down near the 33-yard line. And he picks up 6 on the play. The rest of the offense, the Bengals starting right guard is a rookie, Clint Bowling, for the suspended Bobby Williams. More on that story a little bit later on. And rookie wide receiver A.J. Green, 4th overall selection in the draft. So we got a rookie quarterback and a rookie receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, a lot on both of their shoulders. They are a talented bunch, but you know there's going to be some growing pains.
Get down in a long 3. And not a whole lot there for Cedric Benson. He's been over 1,000 yards the last couple of seasons, a gain of a yard there. Browns starting 2 rookies on the defensive line, Taylor and Sheard. And Mitchell makes his first Cleveland start, so 3 new starters on that defensive line. DeQuell Jackson just made the tackle a couple plays ago. He's back after missing last season to an injury. Fujita and Gokong will flank him. And quarterback Joe Hayden, rising star in the secondary, 6 interceptions a season ago. 3rd down and 2. Benson, Presley with the block. Ward from behind makes the tackle. He's got the first down. He's to the 27. He picks up 6 yards.
And already we're seeing Jay Gruden, the new offensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals. The one thing he wants to give his young quarterback, Andy Dalton, is a powerful, potent rushing attack. And it all starts with Cedric Benson. Now today we're going to see a committee of running backs. Bernard Scott is going to get ample opportunities to carry the ball. And on 3rd down, we're going to see a lot of Brian Leonard, who's going to get a lot of action. But if you're Dalton, you got to believe you're surrounded by a lot of talent. Give him a chance to go to work.
Now they go to 4 wide on 1st and 10. Whitworth with the block at the tackle. That's Gresham, who lunges ahead to the 19-yard line. He picks up 8 on the play. He's been a favorite target of his as Adams makes the stop.
Yeah, when you can run the ball, then you get plenty of room for the quarterback. And look at the clean pocket, easy throw for Andy Dalton. And when you have a big target like Jermaine Gresham, it should be easy to complete that pass. There's Jay Gruden, the new offensive coordinator. That West Coast system, that's a little bit different than what you're going to see from Cleveland, because they'll have a heavy emphasis on running the football.
Brother of John Gruden, the former NFL head coach. Here on 2nd and 2 is Benson. Not a whole lot right there. So the West Coast offense for both teams, and there's some wrinkles now, especially for this Cincinnati ball club.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's the one thing about the West Coast system that Marvin Lewis liked, and it's one of the reasons why he wanted to hire Jay Gruden as his new offensive coordinator, because he felt there was a greater mesh with the way that he runs the West Coast system between the pass and the running game. Remember last year they got away from the running game,
right,
and they struggled offensively. And 2 years ago, when they were a heavy running team, they swept the division, going 6-0 in the AFC North.
Dennis Rowland was an extra offensive lineman on this 1st and 10 for Dalton. They slide to the 15. He was being chased on the play by Jamie Mitchell, former Viking. No gain on the play.
It's all about poise of the quarterback. This is to get him out on the edge, out of the pocket, get him on the move where he has a clear line of sight to the receiver. And then you can do that and protect yourself a little bit better.
Second down and 10. Shipley has come in as an extra receiver. Oh, and he's got the receiver as A.J. Green is working. There's a flag. Sheldon Brown was over there covering the rookie out of Georgia.
And A.J. Green, the rookie, had himself a touchdown. And Sheldon Brown did the right thing. You have to hold on to him when he's running by you like this. Watch, he's going to have him beat. He beats the veteran right here. Look at the double move, spin out of it, and then there's the hold by Sheldon Brown.
Holding. Number 24 defense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Brown is a 10-year veteran in the NFL going up against the rookie.
Yeah, but he was being taken to school right there on the double move by A.J. Green. And everything you see with A.J. Green is the fact that He has no weak areas in this game. That was an excellent route on the double move. You saw he ran a hitch and go, but he did a spin move with it where he was able to maintain his momentum to get beyond the defensive back, and Sheldon Brown had to hold him to prevent the touchdown.
Green, who was the 4th overall pick. First and 10 from the 11. Benson wrapped up, and a bunch of guys getting a hand on him right there, led by Ward and DeQuell Jackson with no gain on the play.
Well, Cedric Benson, when he carries the ball, this team usually does well. And you can see the numbers last year. Look, down significantly in the 2010 season. In 2009, he had 1,000 yards rushing each year. But look at the yards per carry average, 4.2 during the 2009 season. Was very efficient. Last year, the real problem was fumbling the football.
The tight end Gresham, bottom of your screen, 2nd down and 10.
Neutral zone infraction. Number 97 defense came into the neutral zone, causing the offense to false start. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
That's the rookie Jabal Shear.
Yeah, he's the 2nd-round pick out of Pittsburgh. Young player. Not lining up on his side of the ball, taking a little bit too much liberty lining up in that neutral zone.
You can see where they ranked a season ago in those neutral zone infractions, but gone is Sean Rogers. They keep Rubin in the middle, and they like that kid. In fact, they're trying to negotiate a new contract for him right now.
Yeah, they had Phil Taylor, their 1st-round pick from Baylor, so they have 2 big, stout guys, but you also have to be smart. And Coach Shermer knows that.
2nd down and 5. Fake to Benson. Hacked away beautifully in the secondary. A terrific play turned in as they were covering it well. Joe Hayden,
former 1st-round pick from 1 year ago, and certainly he is a phenomenal player and shows it here, and sees knifes right under Jerome Simpson. And I think Dalton's going to find out. This is his first game as an NFL quarterback that the players in this league close on the ball quite quickly, as we saw from Joe Hayden there.
That was a pretty small window to begin with.
Absolutely. They give the rookie quarterback credit for taking a shot.
Leonard is in, 3rd and 5. Away again by Hayden. What a play. That time they were going for Green. 2 terrific end zone defensive plays by Hayden, and the defense of Cleveland holds, and Cincinnati will try for 3.
Dalton got away with one. See, he comes late to the outside, and this one could have been intercepted. If Hayden gets 2 hands on it, maybe he comes down with it and takes it back, but he knocks it down and plays it safely. Good coverage by Hayden. And I think the Bengals are lucky that one wasn't intercepted.
So Mike Nugent will be trying 3. Hold coming from Kevin Hugh. 24-yard try. And the Bengals cash in on a poor punt by Cleveland, which put them in Browns territory to begin with. Browns defense does their job early on. Bengals by 3. Well, the 24-yard field goal puts the Cincinnati Bengals on top 3-0. We've already talked about the new kickoff rule. What do you think of this kicking off from the 35?
I know the intent is to make it more safe than running down on kicks, but the initial contact is still occurring upon the first line. The first wave of defenders are still having to take on contact.
Cribbs again watches it sail over his head and out of the end zone. Another touchback. Colt McCoy will get a second swipe at it when we come back to Cleveland. Back in Cleveland, the NFL is holding a special auction to benefit 9/11 charities. Autographed game jerseys from today's game, along with the game ball and other unique NFL items, will be auctioned to raise money for Tuesday's children. And my good deed, visit NFL.com/auction today to bid on items. McCoy on 1st and 10. Second possession. He goes outside. You can see the gang tackle at the 30. Massaquoi was the one to get it. Gain of 10 as we gain James Brown from New York.
Kevin and Solly, heavyweight battle going on. Pittsburgh at Baltimore. Boomer.
What a way to start for Joe Flacco. His first pass of the season, a 27-yard touchdown pass to Anquan Bolden. They're ahead of the Steelers 7-0.
Flacco must have been listening to Charlie Casserly on the pregame show. 7-0, as Boomer said, back to Kevin and Solomon.
What a great acquisition Bolden was, getting them from Arizona.
Yeah, I can see that game, the ball going down the field with those 2 quarterbacks.
False start. Number 66, offense. 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
Laval picks up his second foul. Flag on him. It was a 1st and 10. Now it'll be 1st and 15 for the Cleveland Browns. It's been a kind of a rocky start to this game.
Yeah, you have some players filling in on the offensive line, especially at that left guard position where you have a rookie, Jason Pinkston.
4 penalties already on the Browns. Here's a 1st and 15. Hillis is drilled, and from behind it was Fanene, who's just in on this series, loss of 4. Back to James Brown in New York.
Kevin and Solly, Boomer's upset pick today. It's still early, but it's the Rams.
And you talk about how to start a season. How about Steven Jackson, 47-yard run on the first play from scrimmage for the Rams. Eagles going to have a tough time stopping the run this year.
All right, there you have it. They're in St. Louis. Back to Kevin and Solomon.
A little bit of a surprise there.
Isn't that supposed to be an all-star team in Philly?
That's what they say.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's what they say. Here's a 2nd and 19 for Colt McCoy. Good block by Cousins. Here comes Gathers, and he throws it away. Incomplete. Well, Colt, there's a flag thrown on the play. We've already had 4 penalties, as we mentioned before, against the Browns. It's Bill Levy, and he worked Super Bowl 40. This is one of the best crews in the NFL. Another penalty against Cleveland.
And this offensive line is struggling in the early going of the game, not protecting the quarterback sufficiently and not able to give Colt McCoy a significant amount of time.
Pass interference. Number 48 offense was blocking downfield prior to the pass being thrown. Decline. 3rd down.
That is a rookie here, Owen Marisa. Colt McCoy had his best career game statistically at Cincinnati Week 15. Late in the 4th, he hit Brian Robisky in a 46-yard touchdown to put the Browns within 2, but the Browns lost that game 19-17. McCoy finished with 243 yards, a couple touchdowns, and no interception.
And Coach Shermer, who helped groom the rookie quarterback 1 year ago in St. Louis, Sam Bradford, says he sees a lot of similarities between Colt McCoy and Sam Bradford. The accuracy and the competitiveness is off the charts.
Into the nickel, 3rd and 19, and there's another flag, and Hillis was the one to grab it. And we'll see what this is all about. Kinds of things you might expect with the shortened offseason, certainly, and training camp.
False start. Number 73 offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
That's the 4-time Pro Bowler Joe Thomas.
And just watch him. You'll see the left. There he is right there. Quick movement by Joe Thomas. And remember, they're playing without Eric Steinbach at left guard. Both he and Joe Thomas had anchored the left guard and left tackle position where they had started 65 consecutive games together. You can see the Cleveland Browns had been one of the fewest teams in penalties today, already with 5.
Into the nickel, 3rd and 24. They need their own 41. A lot of traffic right there going for Robisky. Leon Hall was there. Reggie Nelson was there. And they got a punt for a 2nd consecutive time.
When your offensive line is struggling, the quarterback is in a deep hole, and now he starts to force the ball, trying to get out of it. Throwing the ball in double coverage to Brian Robisky. This ball is nearly intercepted. Leon Hall gets one hand on it. Had he not get one hand on it, I think Reggie Nelson would intercept it. But look at the pressure. Even getting hits, double hits on Colt McCoy.
There was another flag thrown on the play as we have a conference among our officials at the 24-yard line.
You have to wonder if they're throwing the flag for the low hit on Colt McCoy. Remember, you have to stay up high on the quarterbacks.
But not too high.
Yeah, not too high, not to the head or neck area.
Right.
Unsportsmanlike conduct on the bench of Cleveland. Knocked the official down on the sideline during the play. That penalty would have been enforced half the distance to the goal line. The down would count, 4th down.
Pat Shermer's trying to get more of an explanation as to who it was and how it may have happened. And how do you determine if something like that is intentional?
Last year we had a player that was tripped by the Jets bench, but I had not heard about an official being blocked out. Already the 6 penalties. First punt sailed 20 yards, remember that now, and that is what gave Cincinnati such great beginning field position and eventually the 3-point field goal.
Yeah, McGee struggled early on. Let's see if he can respond here, or the Bengals are going to have great field position.
He once again. Brandon Tate, who is, there's a beauty. Brandon Tate, former New England Patriot from the 44. They're going to begin in Browns territory again, and Josh Cribbs, who's been one of the great special teams tacklers on this team, makes the grab. 48-yard punt, 16-yard return. Dalton gets his second try in just a second. And it was a fairly busy offseason, as you can see, for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, gone is Chad Ochocinco, Terrell Owens. In comes A.J. Green, a new weapon for Andy Dalton. And, of course, Carson Palmer is gone. After 8 years in Cincinnati, you see the win-loss record, but certainly one of the best quarterbacks they ever had in terms of passing yards, where he ranks third all-time, only behind Boomer Esiason and Kenny Anderson, including overall touchdown passes, where he had 154 during the 8 seasons he had been with the Bengals. And his departure, when he told Marvin Lewis, go ahead and draft a quarterback, I will not be coming back, I want what's best for the team.
Here's a 1st and 10 handoff, and it goes to Benson Whitworth with a nice block, and across the way, brought down by Sheard on a gain of 6. They put him on the reserve did not report list, speaking of Palmer, and so look, he was going to make over $11 million if he reported.
Yeah, and then he signed a 9-year contract extension in 2005. Already today, this pocketed $75 million and walked away from $50 million remaining on that contract. He went in and told Marvin Lewis, go ahead and draft a quarterback. They took Andy Dalton with a 2nd-round pick, and now the team is moving on. They consider Carson Palmer to be retired.
Here's Dalton now with a 2nd down and 4, and Benson again. Fujita jumping on his back at about the 33 on a gain of 3.
And now the Cincinnati Bengals have 11 returning starters, tied for the fewest in the NFL with Seattle. They didn't intend, when they walked off the field in that final game of last year when they had played Baltimore, they didn't intend to go in this direction with Marvin Lewis as a rebuilding football team. But when Carson Palmer walked away, I think Marvin Lewis went to Mike Brown and says, well, we got to make significant changes. Now Chad Ochocinco is not coming back. Neither is Terrell Owens, and they find themselves being one of the youngest teams in the NFL.
3rd and a long one. Benson again. Simpson trying to throw a block and down to the 27. He picks up 5 on the play. Marvin Lewis told us last night, he says, you know, I really feel like we're all together. We're all on the same page.
Well, and that's because they have now young players. Only 2 guys right now, Chris Crocker and Nate Clemens, are 30 years old on this team. So he has a young.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he has a young football team that's listening to the coach, listening to what the coaches are trying to teach him, because they all want to get better. They all want to improve. And right now he's having a ball coaching up this young football team.
1st down and 10 for Dalton. He's got his receiver, Gresham, the tight end. It's to the 7-yard line. He was grabbed by Ward. Pinpoint throw of 22 yards, 1st and goal for the Bengals.
It's all about knowing where to go with the football. If you're Andy Dalton, you're a young quarterback, watch his read. See, he looks to the right now, comes back left, understanding the tight end Gresham had gotten inside of T.J. Ward. Excellent throw. More importantly, it was an even better read. So he came off to the right where he wanted to go with the ball initially and found an open receiver over the middle.
Ian Shipley, as rookies a season ago, led the AFC among rookies in receptions. 1st and goal from the 6. Ashley with the lead. Benson is down to the 1. There's also a nice block there by Kosher. It's a gain of 5.
Well, the last time the Bengals were here at Cleveland Stadium, the defense for Cleveland, look at them. They were able to stuff the running game, and they were able to bat down the passing game and just play excellent defense the last time they were here in this position. Let's see if they can hold up inside the red zone.
With a couple tight ends, 2nd down and goal at the 1. Benson, see the blocking again. Down on the play, Java Rubin was there with no gain.
You know, so we're seeing this defense, once they get their backs up against the end zone, where they played really well when they were in this position last time, doing it again. Now 3rd and goal. I think if you're Andy Dalton, this is where you've been given excellent field position. You've got to find a way to get the ball into the end zone.
Anthony Collins has been brought in as a tackle eligible. So a couple tight ends, extra offensive linemen. 3rd and goal at the 2. Fake to Benson. Blocked by Thomas. Touchdown, Gresham. Beating Ward, 2-yard strike. And Cincinnati cashes in on their great beginning field position.
An excellent poise and vision by the rookie quarterback, Andy Dalton. Initially, he wanted to go to his tight end. Watch number 77. Watch it there. Excuse me. Watch him. That's Andrew Whitworth. But then he comes back over to Gresham. And see, watch Whitworth, and so Gresham comes over from the backside, and he's able to get open. And so Dalton was looking initially at 77. Whitworth in the end zone came off of him, find the tight end as his second intended receiver.
So there's Gresham, his 5th career touchdown reception. And we've got Dalton throwing his first NFL touchdown pass. And here's Nugent now to try the extra point. Late in the first quarter, Bengals have started 2 possessions in Cleveland territory, 10-0 Cincinnati. So Dalton initially on this drive hits Gresham for 22. Then with a deceptive fake to Benson, finds Gresham on a 2-yard touchdown pass for Cincinnati. Bengals have had it twice. They've taken advantage of some very good beginning field position, both at Cleveland's 41-yard line on the possessions. Browns have had it twice. 3 plays punt, 4 plays punt. Here's another kickoff, which will drive Josh Cribbs out of the end zone again. Out to the 20. 3rd touchback. So there's Dalton, who had a great 2-yard touchdown pass moments ago. Kid who played at TCU, a Rose Bowl hero. It's 1st and 10 for McCoy, and here comes Hillis, over 1,000 yards a season ago, stacked up and out to about the 23-yard line on a gain of 3, and you saw the pile bringing him down. Well, Wednesday, September 21st on CBS. New night, new blood. Ted Danson joins CSI. The season premiere, Wednesday, September 21st. Only on CBS. 2nd down and 7. Andy Lawson now in that linebacking core for Cincinnati. Here they come. Deflected at the line. Great penetration coming through. It looked like maybe Michael Johnson got a hand on it, the defensive end.
Well, Colt McCoy, since they were blitzing, you saw him check off. He patted his hips, let him know that it was going to be a 3-step drop ball coming out. But they're so tall and so long for the Cincinnati Bengals. Their defenders, you know, Lawson is a 6'5" guy, and when you talk about Michael Johnson, he goes 6'5" himself, or 6'7" even. So with that long reach, he's able to bat the ball down.
5 in the secondary for Cincinnati on this 3rd and 7 for McCoy. And he's got Benjamin Watson, but shy of the first down. Picks up 3. Malaluga was right there to the 25. Here is another 3 and out for the Cleveland Brown offense.
And now the defense for the Cincinnati Bengals are starting to tee off and come after him.
Leon Hall got him first. Malaluga finished him off.
Yeah, you get a new contract, you got to lay some leather on him.
That's right.
He recently signed a new deal. Very good player for the Bengals.
So McGee to punt, and deep back is Brandon Tate. And some pretty good hang time right here. Faircroft back at the 28. Hang time of 4.8 on a 47-yard punt.
And Kevin, you know, the fans expect early success from young quarterbacks. Go back to 2008. Matt Ryan has taken the Atlanta Falcons to 2 playoff appearances in 3 years. Joe Flacco drafted in 08. 3 playoff appearances in all 3 years since he's been the quarterback. And Sanchez with the Jets, 2 AFC title appearances in 2 years. And now Cam Newton, after being the first overall pick for the Carolina Panthers. There are high expectations for him. And I think both the Bengals and the Browns are hoping to achieve success early on with both Andy Dalton and Colt McCoy.
Bernard Scott comes in for the first time. 1st and 10. Cincinnati at their own 29-yard line. Those 2 drives started at the 41 of the Browns. Scott. Change of direction, but read so well by the rookie Jabal Sheard on a loss of 2 back to the 27. And a late flag was thrown.
I think this is a rather recent phenomenon. Young quarterbacks really coming out and being successful early on. The pressure now for young quarterbacks to succeed. Joe Flacco, Matt Ryan, and those guys have done it.
Hit number 43 of the defense. 15-yard penalty, first down.
That's T.J. Ward, who is called for the penalty.
Yeah, and Mark Sanchez, he's gotten off to a fabulous start with the New York Jets. And, you know, Matthew Stafford, Sam Bradford, even some success last year playing under Pat Shurmur. So I think it's a lot of pressure today on young quarterbacks to be very good right away.
How about the way Flacco and Sanchez have not only won, but won on the road in the playoffs?
Deep into the playoffs.
Yeah, right.
And I think those are the expectations. If you're Marvin Lewis, you know, you're not going to give a mulligan to Andy Dalton. You're not going to say, hey, you're a rookie, it's quite okay. No, they expect to achieve great success early on.
There's Pat Shurmur. He's got the young quarterback in McCoy. He gave McCoy the playbook once he was hired. He, of course, like Jay Gruden on the other side with this West Coast offense.
And he did it last year with Sam Bradford in St. Louis, so he knows it can be done.
1st and 10 from the 42. Scott remains. Nice throw. Threaded in, caught by Simpson. Hard hit on the play. He was whacked on that play by Usama Young. 20-yard pickup and a first down to the 38.
Wow, he's going to pay to catch this one, but nice throw by Andy Dalton. And there's the hit by Usama Young. Now that one might get you a letter from 280 Park, the league office, because there was a lead with the helmet, even though it was a bang-bang play.
So Dalton so far has been very effective. 4 of 6, a touchdown pass of 2 yards. Bengals on the move again at the end of one on opening day. 10-0 Cincinnati. Bengals in the midst of their third possession. They've scored the first 2 times they've had it. 3 Cleveland possessions, all punts, and 7 penalties. Here's a 1st and 10. And again in Cleveland territory from the 38. Andy Dalton looking very composed as a rookie. And Bernard Scott. Well, Jackson, who led this Cleveland team in tackles in 07 and 08. 2-yard gain to the 35. We take a look at some of the numbers of the game so far through 1 quarter of play.
Yeah, and you can see the quarterbacks, 2 young players trying to get something going for their football teams. And Ted Benson, I think, has done a much better job helping his young quarterback, where Peyton Hillis haven't had many opportunities and not a whole lot of production. How about Jermaine Gresham? He's the one catching the ball for tough yards over the middle of the field.
Shipley is in on this 2nd down and 7.
Timeout, Cincinnati.
That's the first. They don't want to making sure he's got the right read here and the right play. Timeout. Just seconds into this 2nd quarter. You'd have that look on your face as well if your team were called with 7 first-quarter penalties.
And poor field position. And so it makes it very tough to call really good plays that you feel could be successful.
Stop remains. 2nd down and 7. Whitworth with a block. And initially hit on the play by Dimitri Patterson, the ex-Eagle, on a gain of 2.
Andy Dalton, his NFL debut has been stellar in the 1st quarter. He's found the open receiver. He's really read the defense very well. He's remained poised in the pocket, coming off the 1st read to the 2nd read. Jermaine Gresham has been a wonderful intended target, and then just laser lock passes over the middle. Yeah, the receivers are paying for it, but right now Andy Dalton is on a roll, getting a great feel for the game.
Marvin Lewis told us last night most impressed with Dalton's demeanor.
Yeah, his ability to make good decisions, his accuracy and timing appear to be operating at a high level.
3rd and 5. Good throw. Simpson, 1st down. He's to the 27. He was working on Sheldon Brown. It's a gain of 6. He began to emerge at the end of the year.
Well, yeah, Jerome Simpson is one of those guys who wants to be good now. But I go back to Andy Dalton, and remember that preseason game against a tough Rex Ryan defense when he went to New York? It was wet, it was windy, it was rainy. Didn't play well at all. But I saw that through that game, Kevin, that he was resilient. He began to make plays. He bounced back from failure. And I think we're seeing him grow and taking it to another level.
There's a 1st and 10 run. Gokong with a big-time hit on Bernard Scott. There's no gain on the play. Dalton, ironically enough, is now in Carson Palmer's old locker.
Oh, this one is real speed. Take a feel of this one. Wow. Yeah, Carson Palmer leaves, and in comes Andy Dalton. And Andy Dalton, what did he say? That he was taking 75% of the snaps with the #1 offense the very first day of practice. He said, I kind of think I had an idea that I would be the starter on opening day. I had to take advantage of it.
And he has. 2nd and 10, Scott remains. Gresham, who had a block initially and then kind of lost his footing. Good tackle by Phil Taylor. A loss of 2 to New York and James Brown.
Kevin and Solomon, in contrast to what you guys are saying about Dalton, not so with Garrett Collins right now.
Well, the route is on, guys. He's been sacked twice. He's fumbled twice. And Houston has taken a 17-0 lead. This does not look like the Indy offense under Peyton Manning.
Garrett Collins struggling right now. Let's take it back to Cleveland, Kevin and Solomon.
I like that Houston team.
Boomer and JB, I thought the coach would struggle because, remember, Gary Collins had been retired. He got off the sofa. In comes Gary Collins, and I think it's a long stretch to think he's going to do things Peyton Manning is.
He was at his farm in North Carolina. There's a drop. It was a good pass, and Gresham couldn't find the handle. Dalton got a big whack from Rubin. Coverage on the play by T.J. Ward, who was burned for a touchdown earlier.
Yeah, the pressure is there, but Dalton still delivers a strike that should have been caught by Gresham. See, he goes down there, so there is some pressure, and I just like the fact that he's putting the ball on the money, and now his receivers have to make the catch. Gresham has done that early in the game, but put that one on the ground.
So here is Mike Nugent, 15 of 19 a season ago, a 47-yard field goal try. There is very little breeze inside the stadium. Tack on 3 more for Cincinnati. 13-0 on the road opening day. The Bengals, who finished 4-12 a year ago, beating Pat Shurmur and the Browns. Bengals have had it 3 times. They've scored all 3 times. And look at where the plays have been run.
Yeah, the Bengals have had great field position. Only 2 plays run in their own territory. And talking about having your backs up against the wall, 22 of their plays have been in Cleveland Brown territory. And I'm sure Pat Shurmur is wanting to get excellent field position, give his offense a chance. I think starts with maybe Joshua Cribbs making a big play on special teams.
Nugent, who's had 3 touchbacks so far, gets a good foot into this, and again, he's going to take it out from 9 yards deep. Joshua Cribbs, Adams with the block. There's a guy who lost his helmet, and there goes Cribbs. Good call, Solomon. Finally brought down on the play by Cincinnati's Brian Leonard, a 51-yard return. That'll get you going and gives them great beginning field position at the 43.
And remember, Kevin, when we talked to him, he said it's not about how deep I catch it. It really is about if the ball is a line drive, if I get it within 3 seconds once it comes off the foot of the kicker, then I'm going to return it. Here he is right here. Take a look. And he's going to just read this one as he brings it back to the right side at the bottom of our screen. And he finds a seam, finds their separation right there. Stop it there. And then you can see, look, he wants to come here and then bounce it. And so he is very smart, very adept at finding the spaces. And he's such a strong runner, he's able to break tackles as well.
Montario Hardesty is the new running back. There's a new right tackle. McCoy on 1st and 10. Massaquoi working on Nate Clemens. There's a loose ball. They mark him down. It is a 1st down catch. A pickup of 11 to the 47-yard line of Cincinnati.
If you're Pat Shurmur, this is what you want. A big play on special teams. Now quick passes. Get the ball out of the hands of the quarterback over to Mohamed Massaquoi and make the catch. Knee was down before Nate Clemens was able to strip it out. Nate Clemens, very veteran player. He knows how to tackle you and get the ball out as well.
Told you there was a new right tackle. As you take a look at Massaquoi in his 3rd year working on the veteran Clemens. Pinkston is out. Artis Hicks is now the new right tackle. Here's Hardesty with his carry up the middle. His regular season debut. More on that in a second. Gain of 7 as we go to New York and James Brown.
Kevin and Solly, always close affairs between these 2 squads, Boom.
And after falling down 14-0, here's Ben Roethlisberger doing what Ben Roethlisberger does. Moves out of the pocket, finds Emmanuel Sanders. 11-yard TD, 14-7 Ravens.
10-19 left in the first half. Back to Kevin and Solomon.
You know, Roethlisberger, the way he can move around, just keeps those plays. He extends those plays, doesn't he?
No, his mobility and accuracy, I think, are at an all-time high.
2nd and 3. Hardesty again. And brought down on the play by Frosty Rucker. Gain of 5. And he's down to the 34. And coming up on the Sprint halftime report, join James Brown, Dan Marino, Shannon Sharp, all these Hall of Famers, Boomer Esiason, Coach Bill Cowher for the latest NFL scores, news, and highlights. It's all coming up on the Sprint halftime report here on CBS. Here's the best offensive possession of the day for the Browns so far.
Yeah, I think it started with field position. I think, and then you see Coach Shermer's able to dial up some calls that allow Colt McCoy to get the ball out of his hand quickly, and now the run game is even clicking.
And a 1st and 10 fake by McCoy. Good fake too. Oh, he's got his receiver. Watson! Touchdown! He was paired up against a linebacker, and he beat him.
And we told you for our Home Depot game points that they were going to use the tight ends to try to make some plays. Going all the way to the backside. Can't see him in our screen right now. And there's Leon Hall trying to hustle to get to him. And Leon saying there was someone else who was supposed to be initially on the coverage, and they lost sight of Ben Watson. And why would you do that when clearly 1 year ago he was their best wide receiver, their best option for catching balls, and down inside the red zone and over the middle of the field, he continues to be a weapon. Nice throw from Colt McCoy.
Watson was the #1 receiving tight end a season ago in the AFC. Here's the veteran Phil Dawson, who will try to tack on one more in a new game here in Cleveland. As the Bengals lead it 13-7. Benjamin Watson, the leading receiver for the Browns a year ago, snares a 34-yard touchdown pass from McCoy. Benjamin Watson just got that 34-yard touchdown pass from Colt McCoy, but all that was set up on the 51-yard kickoff return by Joshua Cribbs.
Yeah, Joshua Cribbs, I think he sensed that it was a moment in the game where he had to make a play to try to set the table for his offense, and Colt McCoy and Ben Watson took advantage of it.
Brandon Tate will get the kickoff from Phil Dawson. Now, he returned the kickoff for a touchdown for New England against this Cincinnati team a year ago on opening day. He returns that up for 35 yards, and they'll get it. As you take a look at the MetLife blimp in these beautiful scenics today, high above Cleveland, Ohio. Look for the MetLife blimps as we team up with CBS for more coverage this season. And you can see the first 3 possessions, scoring each time they've had the ball.
And one of the things Marvin Lewis talked about without the OTAs and the minicamp, he said, we wanted to be simple. We weren't simple last year in that season debut against New England. We wanted to be simple so we can play fast.
Benson is in on 1st and 10. Nice bring down right there. It's a loss of 2. Marcus Bernard, who led Cleveland in sacks a year ago.
Yeah, and watch him collapse the pocket. It comes off the edges. He's forced to step up, but then they are able to close it down. You see Bernard coming off the right edge, and now Dick Duran's defense starting to assert themselves in this game.
On that line, Scott Paxson. There's a look at Dick Duran, a 2-time head coach in the NFL, and a 43 defense now. A brand new defense here in Cleveland. 2nd down and 12. Benson. Not much there. Gain of 2 near the 30-yard line.
Last year, the Cleveland Browns under Rob Ryan as their defense coordinator ran primarily a 3-4 defense. Dick Duran comes over, give him a base 4-3, and Duran has been a successful defensive coordinator in this league, and the people in Cincinnati ought to know he's a former Bengal. Had 11 interceptions during 3 seasons as a Bengal safety, 6 during the 1980 season. So he was an excellent player, great athlete in his own right.
Duran takes over for Rob Ryan, who ran the 34. Here's a 3rd down and 10 for Dalton. Good block for Andre Smith. Dropped. Simpson. Right in his hand. Coverage on the play by Hayden. 3 and out. They got a punt. As I can sense a little momentum shift here in this game.
Now watch Jerome Simpson. I think he kind of rounds this one off a little bit, and you'll see Hayden is able to come in and knock it down. It's in deep double coverage, but you've got to be able to get across the face of the corner. Now come back to the ball. So he squeezes way back to the ball, and I think he's able to catch that one. You leave room for Hayden to knife underneath, he's going to do it.
Second drop for Simpson. Kevin Huber to Josh Cribbs. From the 20 to flag. And a good tackle on the play. And that was made by Rico Murray, who went to high school in Cincinnati. He's been on this team off and on the last 2 years. 50-yard punt as it stands.
During the kick, holding number 24 of the receiving team. 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick. First down, timeout.
That's the 8th penalty against the Cleveland Browns, yet they trail only by 6, 13-7, a timeout and halfway through the second. Cincinnati just punted for the first time as you take a look at the comparison of our two young quarterbacks this afternoon.
Both guys have completed 6 passes, but McCoy doing a better job of spreading the ball around.
First and 10, Hillis. And stopped up. What is interesting, we just saw the two quarterbacks, McCoy and the quarterback Dalton for Cincinnati. Their dads were friends. They were football teammates and roommates at Abilene Christian. And then both those dads went on to coach their sons in rural Texas high schools.
Yeah, and both of them have become very good friends. And, you know, Jordan Shipley and Colt McCoy played together at Texas. And how about Andy Dalton? He and Colt McCoy, they attended some quarterback camps growing up in the state of Texas.
Second down and 7. A little wide there as they were looking for Greg Little, who is a rookie out of North Carolina. Well, Colt McCoy and Andy Dalton faced off in 2007 when TCU played at Texas. Colt McCoy was intercepted twice. One return for that TCU score, but he threw a touchdown pass in the second quarter. Andy Dalton making his second career start. Was sacked 3 times. He was over 200 yards passing. Rough day as the Horns beat the Frogs.
And Colt McCoy goes on to set an NCAA record, winning 45 career games while he was at the University of Texas. Well, all Andy Dalton did was go on to win 42 games, just 3 games shy of Colt McCoy's record.
Third down and 7. Dunlap is on that defensive line for Cincinnati. Nice move by McCoy. Spinning his way for a first down to the 22-yard line and a gain of 9. He's a tough kid.
Now, this is something that Domata Peko talked to us about when we met with him yesterday, that Colt McCoy is much more mobile and athletic than you would believe. And you see Michael Johnson dropped his head, and Colt McCoy made him pay for it with that spin move, his ability to move the chains with his running ability. 6'1", 215. He's very quick, very strong athlete. And I think he reminds me a lot of a young Drew Brees. I know he watched that game on Thursday night. He says, I want to be as good as both of those guys. Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees, the way they play.
Pretty good examples.
Absolutely.
Hicks remains in at the right tackle. Here's McCoy. And that is incomplete. Watson having a hard time turning around. Nelson was defending, and there was some great pressure. Put him on the near side by Manny Lawson of Cincinnati, incomplete.
You can see that Colt McCoy has some athleticism to him. He can get out of the pocket. He can move, throw the ball really well. And Watson never got his head around to try to make a play on the ball.
Just think at this time of year for McCoy, he had not even taken a snap with the regular offense. He was number 3 on the depth chart.
He was an afterthought, and there were injuries to Jake Delhomme, injuries to Seneca Wallace, forced to start in the game on the road against Dick LeBeau's Pittsburgh Steelers defense, and acquitted himself well.
On the second and 10, Lawson can't get Hillis. Nelson can't get Hillis. And the sideline finally got him. That was about it. Run out of bounds. Peyton Hillis to the 38. And he gallops for 17 and a Cleveland first down.
Well, this is how you help your quarterback. Now watch Hillis when he gets to the edge. Right there. See the stiff arm? So one doesn't get him. The number 2 guy doesn't get him. And then it takes 3 defenders. And I say this all the time with the best running backs in the NFL. You have to make the first unblocked defender miss. It was Manny Lawson who got there at the point of attack. Peyton Hillis made him miss.
Sims is in there for Peko on the defensive line. Here is a first and 10 for McCoy at his own 39. Thomas Howard chasing McCoy. Oh, he's got Massaquoi! To the 7. Busted coverage. Nelson the tackle. A 56-yard completion. First and goal, Cleveland.
The pressure was in the face of the quarterback. Now watch, here's Massaquoi here. Now But look at the receiver. Stop it right there. He's wide open. I thought he'd go there, but then look. All Massaquoi did was continue to go down the field and get open, and then Reggie Nelson looking back, he dropped coverage. And so Massaquoi stayed with it, but look at the hit on Colt McCoy by Thomas Howard. But really nice throw.
Longest completion of McCoy's short career. Hillis on 1st and goal, hit by Thomas Howard, and he grinds his way to the 2. There's a lot about McCoy that you like, and the one thing that he did this past offseason to get familiar with the West Coast offense was travel to Mississippi and see Brett Favre and learn about what Mike Holmgren, the president of the team, wants to do with the West Coast.
Yeah, that's right. And Brett Favre, of course, played under Mike Holmgren, who's now the president here with the Cleveland Browns. And what do? You put one of the greatest to ever play in this system with a young one that's playing for you. And that's just utilizing your resources to the best of your ability.
2nd down and goal. The end zone. And they had Rubisky in the corner. And up front they had Little. 3rd and goal.
Colt McCoy is starting to get his jersey a little dirty. He's been hitting the ground hard. But, you know, smart play to just throw it away. If there's nothing there, you just get rid of it.
Third and goal at the 2. Hillis remains. And Evan Moore, tight end, will be atop your screen. And he has been a red zone target in preseason from McCoy.
He's a big body.
Looking for him here. Moore, touchdown.
Evan Moore, 6'6", 240 pounds. Matched up against the smaller 5'11", 195-pound Leon Hall. And while Leon Hall is one of the better cornerbacks in the NFL, this is a mismatch. And what I always say with the big guys, you can't allow them to get in front of you and block out the sun. And that's exactly what Evan Moore does. Once he gets in front of Leon Hall across his face, it's just an easy throw for Colt McCoy.
Tied the game, and now for the first time Cleveland can go on top. Should Phil Dawson nail it? And he does. 13, now 14 points for Cleveland. 14 unanswered points. The Browns have come from behind to lead by 1 here in the 2nd quarter on opening day. Well, there was a long completion to Massaquoi, 56 yards. Remember, McCoy ran for 9 to get a 1st down. They had a 17-yard run by Hillis, and they wind up with a 2-yard touchdown pass to Evan Moore, the ex-Green Bay Packer, who was cut, joined the team as a practice squad guy, and began to kind of work his way into the lineup last year.
And on the other side, I think Marvin Lewis has to be concerned about his defense. Remember, this was the more veteran group. They have 6 new starters on defense, but this is the 4th consecutive year they've been in Mike Zimmer's system. Marvin Lewis said that we can't give up any explosive plays, and they've done so on each possession where they're giving up a touchdown.
Just took a look at Brandon Tate. He is deep in the end zone for the Cincinnati Bengals. There is a flag. It's going to be offsides on the Browns on the kickoff. Tate leaves it there on the Dawson kick. Like I said, a flag is at the 33. The players are lining up at the 30 with the ball teed up in this new rule at the 35. And so, as you can see, it will be on Cleveland. Another penalty on the Browns.
Illegal formation. Number 56 of the kicking team went behind the 30-yard line before the kick. 5-yard penalty, re-kick.
Mayava picks that up.
And that new rule, and what they're saying there is that everyone on the kickoff team except the kicker has to line up on the 30-yard line. You can be no deeper than on that 30-yard line, which is 5 yards away from where the ball is placed on the 35. Again, this is about safety rules. They don't want you to get up a huge head of steam running down the field where we're going to have huge collisions. So they force you to line up on the 30. Can't be any deeper than that or you're going to be penalized.
We showed you a great graphic earlier in the game how the Cleveland Browns last 2 years were one of the least penalized teams in the NFL. 9 here on opening day, and we're not even at halftime yet.
But you have a huge turnover on your football team. There's 29 players returning from last year's team and only 13 returning starters. So you have a huge turnover. You have a lockout, no OTAs, no mini camps. You have 1 month to work on the details of getting your team ready to play.
Browns fired Eric Mangini after 2 years. He was 10-22. He finished last year 5-11. Tate, and he'll bring this one out 4 yards deep. And Marisek brings him down. Who's that player from Stanford? It's a 25-yard return. Well, Tuesdays this fall on CBS. There's only one new drama to remember. That's Unforgettable. It premieres Tuesday, September 20th. Only on CBS, Columbia Broadcasting System.
One interesting thing, Kevin, the Cleveland Browns committed 9 penalties. The Bengals have none, but yet they trail by 1 point on the scoreboard.
Interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
Boy, Cleveland's really made some good plays in that second quarter.
Schafering now on the defensive line for Cleveland on 1st and 10 for Dalton. A.J. Green, first NFL reception. Wow. A flag. Hayden was defending. That brings up memories of when they faced each other in the Southeastern Conference. 16-yard
This
reception.
may go against A.J. Green.
I think it is. You're right.
He is strong. Wow. When he pushes you, you go flying.
But these two guys know each other. They've faced each other before.
Offense, number 18. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
First penalty against them, and A.J. Green has matched up against Hayden before, like we said. Green went to Georgia. Hayden was a D-back at Florida, and in 2008, Hayden picked off a pass intended for Green, returned it 75 yards.
I think Joe Hayden understands what he's up against working against A.J. Green. 6'4", 205 pounds is A.J. Green. The closest thing I've seen to Andre Johnson. I think he's got that kind of potential. Absolutely.
That's high praise.
And he's earned it. And I think we're going to see it happen before this season is over.
Shipley is in on this 1st and 20. Gresham, who caught the touchdown pass earlier. Fujita is on him to the 17-yard line. That is a gain of 6 for Gresham. Scott Fujita, he's bounced around a little bit, but he's won a Super Bowl with New Orleans, and he sure had something to this Cleveland locker room and on the field, sir.
All right, tremendous leadership. Remember, he was their player rep during the lockout. He was part of many of the negotiations that allowed us to get an agreement done and not miss any games. And so he's a tremendous leader in the locker room and kept himself in shape while shuttling back and forth to negotiating meetings.
Blitz. DeQuell Jackson, fumble, recovered by Cincinnati. Jumping on it, big Andre Smith. DeQuell Jackson jarred it free. Loss of 9, back to the 8.
Well, rarely do Dick Duran blitz his linebackers, but DeQuell Jackson, look, it's a delayed blitz. Once everything declared itself, he took off and was able to get the ball out. Dalton loses it, and then one of his linemen, that's Andre Smith, the right tackle, falls on it.
I said before, you can notice a momentum change. I'm sure you realize it. I mean, this is it's obvious.
Yeah, the field position has changed a little bit, and with Andy Dalton playing with his back to the end zone, you can see they're starting to tighten up just a little bit.
So Dalton will go over and talk with the people on the sideline. Take a look at DeQuell Jackson. He's had pectoral injuries the last couple years, so he's missed really the last 2 seasons. And he's healthy. And that is good news for the Cleveland Browns and their defense, which have now kind of gripped this game by the throat.
If you're talking strategy right now, if I'm the Cincinnati Bengals, you allow Andy Dalton to do one thing. I think you've got to try to get a matchup with A.J. Green on the veteran cornerback, Sheldon Brown. I think Joe Hayden's doing a really good job battling with A.J. Green, but we saw A.J. Green with a double move earlier, beat Sheldon Brown. He had to hold him to keep him from getting open for a touchdown. I think you try to get the ball to your best player where you feel you have the best matchup advantage.
Caldwell is in on this 3rd and 23. They need the 31. Brian Leonard. And hit by Jamie Mitchell, making his first start for the Browns today. Picks up 11, 4th down, and for a second consecutive possession, the Cincinnati Bengals will have to punt.
Well, it's just a real simple play with everyone dropping off. Look how many Cleveland Brown defenders who are off the ball. So they check to a run, understanding they're going to get a soft defense, trying to defend the pass, and Leonard just does a good job of pressing the line of scrimmage.
So in this game, we've had Cincinnati that began in their first 3 possessions with 3 consecutive scores, and Cleveland in their last 2 possessions scoring And here we have another punt coming up.
You know, we talked with Pat Shermer just yesterday. When we walked away, didn't you feel good about our meeting with him? Didn't you get the sense that here is a coach that won't panic? He's got a tremendous amount of poise. He's a wonderful teacher, having learned under Andy Reid and Mike Holmgren. That here's a guy that's got a plan. As you take a look at him reviewing that sheet, he's got a plan. He's not going to panic. And I think it's permeated through his football team here in the first half of this ball game. Cleveland Browns down 13-0. They didn't panic at all. Got a good play from Joshua Cribbs, and now they've seized the momentum in the game.
He reminds me of Holmgren, just in his demeanor.
Oh, yes. Very quiet, calm, doesn't raise his voice, but he's got a plan, so he doesn't have to panic.
Huber with the punt, and Cribbs on the 25. He's already had a 51-yard kickoff return today. Brought down on the 9-yard return by Cribbs. It was a 56-yard punt by Huber. And McCoy, the offense, will get it with 2:48 to play here in the first half. And watch Fantasy Football Today for game time player news and active updates to help set your lineup. And chat with our experts every Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time at CBSSports.com/live. And we're almost at halftime. This will bring you up to date on some of the numbers with the principals today.
Yeah, and the good start in the first quarter by Andy Dalton, but you see Colt McCoy now starting to pile it on. And I think they've got to continue to get the ball to Peyton Hillis in the run.
And Hillis will get it here on 1st and 10. Good block by Robisky. And he'll tumble ahead for 6 out to the 39-yard line for the Cleveland Browns.
Well, the one thing about Colt McCoy, he's remained poised in this ball game, and he's spreading the ball around to a number of different receivers, keeping his head down the field, finding big plays with Ben Watson and then Mohamed Massaquoi. And you know that's when a quarterback playing at a high level. He's not watching the pass rush. He's got his vision down the field for another touchdown pass, 2 so far in the game.
Rusty Rucker now on that defensive line, 2nd down and 4. And McCoy incomplete, looking for Robisky, and the coverage on the play by Nate Clemens.
Nate Clemens comes over, replaces Jonathan Joseph. The Bengals were disappointed to lose Jonathan Joseph via free agency, signed with the Houston Texans. But Marvin Lewis feels like bringing over Nate Clemens is an upgrade in terms of his toughness, his experience in the secondary, and feels like he's been an added addition to his defense as a leader for his football team.
He grew up here in Cleveland. He grew up a Browns fan. He grew up in the suburb of Shaker Heights.
And a phenomenal player at Ohio State.
Third down and 4 for McCoy. That's a nice defensive play that time by ex-Cleveland Brown Chris Crocker. He was drafted by the Browns back in 03 as a 3rd-round pick.
Chris Crocker, excellent player. Heads-up play, too, to defend Ben Watson, who's an athletic tight end. We told you how good he was over the middle of the field. And if you're going to keep him from catching the ball, you have to have excellent timing, good hands, avoid the penalty flag, able to get a hand in there and knock the ball down.
Brandon Tate is back, ready to retrieve this punt by Richmond McGee. 3 and out for the Browns. They've punted 4 of their 6 possessions this afternoon. Great hang time here. And Tate going off the dogs, and Pumprion, the long snapper, was the one to scoop it. So we've hit the 2-minute warning and 1:54 to play in our first half. 14 unanswered points by the Cleveland Browns. Cincinnati led 13-0. Cleveland has come back and now on top 14-13. We've seen touchdown passes and field goal by Cincinnati. First down and 10. Here is Dalton. He looked very sharp to begin the game, beginning here from his own 30-yard line. On the money. He's had a couple drop passes, but that one is reeled in. Hayden was over there covering Simpson, who's dropped the 2. 13-yard pickup to the 43.
A nice drop. Look at the read. 5-step drop. Comes to his right side. This one right in the gut of Simpson, who holds on to it for a change.
Here's the timeout story. Cincy with 2. 1st and 10. That's a foul right there. It's going to go on Demetri Patterson. They were going for Shipley, who has not caught a pass today so far for the Cincinnati offense.
Yeah, Patterson made contact before the arrival of the ball. Shipley had him beat. Remember, Shipley, 25 catches on 3rd down last year, the most for any rookie wide receiver.
Pass interference, number 21 defense. First down, spotted the foul.
Patterson, the ex-Philadelphia Eagle, picked that up.
Coming in from the left, you can see it right there. Had a hand on the back. Can't turn the receiver if the ball is coming. And while he was reaching for the ball, he had his left arm wrapped around Shipley.
Rubin and Taylor on the interior of that defensive line for Cleveland. 1st and 10 from the 47. Dalton. Shipley. He caught it. He made a football move. They're going to call it incomplete. The hit was by Brown. The catch was made, and he's to the 46, so he actually loses a yard on the play. And Cincinnati will have it 2nd down.
Watch the route by Shipley. He's coming in from the left side. It's an option route where he goes back out. Now he's open, but see the pressure in the face of Dalton forces him to pull it down, throw the ball late, and then the helping defender comes and knocked the ball out and Sheldon Brown. So it's about pressure and coverage on the back end. See, the pressure forces Dalton to hold it a little bit longer. Other than that, it would have been an easy completion to Shipley.
2nd down and 11. This is Brian Leonard. Look at Rubin come from the defensive line and chase him down at the 47. But a nice gain, catch and run of 7 yards right there by Brian Leonard. Coming up on the Sprint Halftime Report from New York, James Brown and company will give you an update on NFL scores and highlights. All up next on the Sprint Halftime Report from our studios in New York, and a timeout has been taken. Cincinnati now with 1 and Cleveland with 1 as you take a look at Patterson. Let's step back here just a little bit and take a look at the landscape of what we have seen here in our first half of opening day.
Well, I think, Andy Dalton started this game very good, showing excellent poise, and was able to get his team into the end zone, put some points on the board early, but give a lot of credit to the Cleveland Browns, who had poor field position early on. They battled some adversity with all the penalties, but then when they got a spark and a play made by Joshua Cribbs and special teams, you can see the rhythm and the tempo of the offense led by their head coach and offense coordinator, Pat Shermer, go to a whole nother level. So they've maintained their poise. They haven't turned the ball over, and that's why they have the lead in this ball game.
So after the timeout, here is a 3rd and 4. Green and Hayden there matched up atop your screen. Dalton, Green off his fingertips, and he's 6'4". And Hayden had him on that quick slant, and you can see Dalton took a licking on the play. Sheared among a couple coming in there for the Browns.
Sheared and Taylor, face hitting the quarterback in the face. That's why the ball sails high. And I do believe A.J. Green would have caught it if it was an inch lower and maybe catch it and run for a touchdown. But quarterback was being hit and hit very hard by both Sheared and Phil Taylor.
4 and out for Cincinnati. This is their 3rd consecutive punt. The Australian rules kick here. The punt is nice English. Look at it bounce beautifully for the Bengals to the Cleveland 1. Which Cribbs can only hopelessly watch from the side. Well-placed punt by Kevin Huber. Wednesday on Showtime, JB, Chris Collinsworth, Warren Sapp, and our own Phil Simms are back and ready to roll on Inside the NFL every Wednesday night on Showtime. So Colt McCoy is marooned at his 1. He has got, 1 timeout remaining, and 42 seconds on the second quarter clock with which to work.
And you see number 40, and there's a reason why he's on the Madden cover. Because you give him the ball here. There's no way you put the ball in harm's way. Make sure you secure the snap from your center, Alex Mack, and you give the ball to a guy like Peyton Hillis. Allow him to plunge into the line and give you some breathing room.
Hardesty is in the backfield, and the first call here goes to Hillis. He might be sharing a lot of the carries. That's a gain of 5 on the play. A little bit of breathing space out to the 6. We have seen a change as a timeout has been taken. The right tackle Hicks remains. The starter, rookie Pinkston, he was taken out after a couple series. Solomon, one of the things we were talking about was the injury situation with the offensive line of the Browns. Looks like they've handled it fairly well here as this first half has gone along.
Well, they have settled down, and they've done a wonderful job of blocking in the running game. And more importantly, I think to give more time for Colt McCoy. Remember, they were able to roll him out and get him out of the pocket, and that's just really good play design by their head coach, Pat Shermer.
Boy, it was a disastrous beginning for McCoy and the Cleveland Browns. They had 7 first quarter penalties. They were down 13-0. And then McCoy comes back. Cribbs got a 51-yard kickoff return. and then they worked their way down into Cincinnati territory, and then he had about a 34-yard touchdown pass to Watson, and they got some momentum. So Cribbs and the Browns lead by 1 at halftime on opening day in Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland Browns survived 7 first-quarter penalties, yet they come from behind to take a 1-point lead here at halftime. How in the world did the Browns get themselves out of that big hole?
I think you have to give both quarterbacks a lot of credit for their resiliency and efficiency, and I think it starts with the Cleveland Browns quarterback, Colt McCoy. They weathered some very difficult and tough circumstances with bad field position in the early going of the ball game, but then he was able to get it going. Once they got good field position and got some plays from Joshua Cribbs, they were able to make some plays. But Andy Dalton, I thought, began the game very well in the first quarter with a touchdown pass to Gresham, and then how about Colt McCoy? Big plays to Ben Watson, then to Muhammad Massaquoi, and then a touchdown strike to Evan Moore to take the lead 14-13 in this ball game. So we've seen some good from both quarterbacks. They protected it. Neither one of them have turned it over, Kevin, so you have to like what you're seeing from the young guys.
And through 30 minutes of football, here are some of the numbers.
Yeah, the penalties, I think, are a significant difference. 10 penalties, but yet the Cleveland Browns lead on the scoreboard. Cincinnati Bengals only 1 penalty, but the fact that they haven't turned it over, I think, makes it a very clean ball game. But how about the Bengals leading and dominating in time of possession? So they got to do a better job of taking advantage of those opportunities in the second half.
Here's Brandon Tate. He was the 6th-ranked kickoff return man a season ago for the New England Patriots. The 13-year veteran Dawson bangs it, and we begin our second half. He'll bring it out. And then drilled on the play. Wonderful tackle with a 17-yard return. And it was Marcus Bernard.
Look at this, number 7. Is that Bruce Gretkowski coming out to start the second half of the ball game? We talked about Andy Dalton having played well. So you have to wonder, is there something wrong with him physically? Because I think production-wise, he's played well.
There was a late hit on Dalton toward the end of the first half when he came up in his right arm, his passing arm. He was holding it against his chest. So here is Gretkowski, who has been around certainly, was drafted by Gruden down in Tampa. He's been most recently with the Raiders, the worst beginning field position here. Benson on 1st and 10, and Fujita makes the tackle and a loss of a yard back to the 9.
And remember, at the end of the first half, we saw the hit by Sheard as well as Phil Taylor. And this was that one play. Look at both guys are going to hit him. Look at that. 2 guys sandwiched him. Helmet comes off.
Look at his right arm.
And he's holding his right arm and looking over to the sideline. And that's the hit we saw at the end of the first half.
Well, the thing about Gretkowski, he has had experience in the West Coast offense. Spot starter in his career. And from the gun, 2nd down and 11. Coverage on the play by T.J. Ward.
Now, Bruce Gretkowski went to school nearby Toledo. 6-year veteran, played for John Gruden in Tampa Bay. Very familiar with the West Coast offense. Jay Gruden, now the offensive coordinator, the brother of John with the Cincinnati Bengals. So there's some familiarity between the current offensive coordinator and the veteran quarterback.
Browns have 5 in the secondary. Leonard at the side of Gretkowski. 3rd down and 11. Underneath. Shy of the 1st down. It is a gain of 4. A lot there for Simpson, and Cincinnati on their first second half possession will have to punt the ball. This will be their 4th consecutive punt.
You have to wonder now, if you're Jay Gruden, do you feel like you can do more with a veteran quarterback like Bruce Gretkowski in the offense, where maybe you try to keep it simple for Andy Dalton? Do you start to peel the layers back and allow the veteran quarterback to do more in the offense?
Here's the Huber punt, and a beauty. Cribbs looking up into that bright Ohio sun at the 26. Hang time of 5 seconds as Cribbs will dance his way and then finally get hit on the play by Jabril Wilson. 61-yard punt. Here comes Colt McCoy to begin the second half. And they're working on Andy Dalton on the Cincinnati sideline.
It appears that they're working on his right wrist and that throwing arm.
Neil Cousins will begin the second half at the right tackle. Hicks finished off that first half at that right tackle. Pashos is injured. Here is Hillis, who runs into the grasp of Thomas Howard on a gain of 5 to the 47.
And Jabal Sheard comes in, as well as, look at that, Phil Taylor, number 98, 97, just colliding, and you can see that right hand. And it's the wrist that they will later take a look at, and see him looking at that right wrist in the hand area, poking that thumb in there and trying to feel the pressure points, see if he can throw the football.
Dalton has had a nice beginning to the game. Warming up. Coy on the field into Cincinnati territory. 2nd down and 5. You're looking for Massaquoi. The second option is Hillis. And there was a lead block over there by Laval, and they go together for 11 yards to the 36.
And watch number 66, Sean Laval. He'll get out on Thomas Howard, number 53. Take a look at the block. See how he's just locked up there? Plastered to the defender. That allows a lot of running room for Peyton Hillis.
You can see the difference in the first and second quarter for McCoy. Here's a 1st and 10 Hillis handoff, and he goes to about the 33 on a gain of 4.
You know, Andy Dalton trying to figure out, can he go, can he not go? And I believe it's a luxury, and having played in the National Football League, it's a luxury to be able to play when healthy. Most of the time, if you're going to play a long time in the NFL, you're going to play a lot of games when you're less than healthy, when you're a little bit banged up and you're hurting. You can see he's hurting. He's wincing in pain, but the tough ones find a way to still play despite feeling uncomfortable and dealing with a great deal of pain.
Evan Moore atop your screen. 2nd down and 6. McCoy. Nice catch by the tight end Moore, who they had split as a wide receiver to the 17. Picks up 16, and that is a Cleveland 1st down.
Every time I watch Evan Moore play, 6'6", 245 pounds, he does something like this. He makes the best catches for his quarterback. Now, it's an incredible throw. Look at the timing and accuracy, but even a better catch. Plucking that ball out of midair, and boy, he's threading the needle there. Because Thomas Howard was waiting to try to bat that ball down, but give a lot of credit to Colt McCoy and Evan Moore. He can catch anything thrown in his area.
Moore just signed a contract extension.
Rightfully so after making catches like that.
McCoy on 1st and 10. Benjamin Watson. Look at him hurdle a defender a la Hillis. And he takes it to the 7. It's a gain of 8, and the tackle was finally made by Reggie Nelson, the ex-Jaguar.
Well, this is played very well because Carlos Dunlop, number 96, watch him in the face of Colt McCoy. He did a pump fake, runs around him, and throws it to the guy who was blocking Ben Watson. If you can't block him, better free yourself up and then make the catch.
Doing his best Hillis interpretation. 2nd down and 2. Hillis out of Arkansas steamrolls his way for a 1st down to the 3. Gain of 5. Malaluga makes the stop for Cincinnati.
Reggie Nelson's a little guy. Wow. And what do they say? Low man wins? Yes. Peyton Hillis said, bring someone else in. That guy hit me pretty hard on the lower leg.
Originally a 7th-round pick out of Denver, was familiar with the West Coast offense when he played with Mike Shanahan's Broncos, and so when they unveiled what they were going to do here, he got a pretty good feel for the offense.
He's a great one. He's a Tom Rathman throwback.
1st and goal at the 4. Hillis does not come down easy. Atkins was in there, a gain of a yard.
Well, the Bengals have found themselves with their backs up against the wall. Their starting quarterback gets knocked out, not able to start the second half of the ball game. And then Cleveland Browns get the ball. As you take a look at Marvin Lewis, saw his offense go 3 and out. Cleveland Browns get great field position. Now they're on the march, and their defense has to find a way to come up with a stop, or you can see Cleveland start to really take over this ball game.
2nd and goal at the 3. McCoy, nice knockdown. Leon Hall Great move.
And who are they trying to get the ball to? Once again, the 6'6" Evan Moore. You almost treat him like a wide receiver. Yes, he's listed as a tight end, but he's a big presence, particularly down inside the red zone. But wonderful athletic play by Leon Hall. The reason why he can make this play, he gets his head around, he finds the ball. He uses one hand to field the defender, the other hand to bat the ball down.
How about this? Leon Hall, 5'11". Moore, as you said, 6'6".
But excellent vertical jump by the athletic Leon Hall.
You got it. 3rd and goal at the 3. For Cribbs. Clemens defending. Nice defense by Clemens. Drafted high out of Ohio State by Buffalo. San Francisco, the big contract. Now he's a Brown.
How about the play of both cornerbacks? Leon Hall, now Nate Clemens. They try him on the other end. And they try to do the jump ball, and Cribbs tried to go up for it. Clemens is able to time it up, tie up the hands of Joshua Cribbs, can't come down with it.
So here's Phil Dawson, who set a franchise record for field goals last season. It's a 20-yard chip shot for Dawson to extend the Cleveland lead. Nice snap there, pulled down nicely on the play by Richmond McGee. And now Cleveland has scored 17 unanswered points. Big play there. Hillis had a catch and run of 11. They could only muster 3, and so Cincinnati's defense does their job.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the Cincinnati Bengals defense has to do the other thing that Marvin Lewis wanted to see them do. He said, first, we can't give up any explosive plays. Secondarily, we have to be able to come away with a turnover, and I think that's going to be the tipping point for one of these football teams. Somebody's got to be able to go out and take the football away.
Phil Dawson, who just hit that 20-yard field goal, will kick to Tate. Just picked up by Cincinnati. Hayden. No, that wasn't Hayden. That was a good tackle made by Buster Scream, one of the 2 fastest players on this Cleveland team. Another try for Gronkowski with Dalton ailing. Bengals have told us an injured right wrist for Andy Dalton. Questionable return. He sits and watches on the sideline. Gronkowski with his second possession, 1st and 10. To go deep and goes underneath. Short, Benson. Jackson on gain of 2 to the 11-yard line in this Battle of Ohio.
Yeah, the Battle of Ohio is alive and well because there has been some big hits, even on the quarterbacks, on Colt McCoy. And look, Jerome Simpson, he's taken a lick from Usama Young. Both running backs, Sid Benson, as well as Peyton Hillis, and then the tight end, Ben Watson, has felt the pain. They have been laying some licks in this opening game, even enough to knock Andy Dalton out of the game.
2nd down and 8. Leonard is back there with Gronkowski. A lot of congestion, a lot of guys up in his face. It was Simpson on the near side. Hayden was defending. 3rd down.
Remember, Bruce Gronkowski only about 6'1". So the pressure in his face as he felt the pocket collapsing, this ball sails high because look at the pocket collapse around him. And you need to get the ball up, and that's why it was over the head of the intended receiver. I think Gronkowski is better when he gets out on the run, much like what we've seen with Colt McCoy. Got to give him some rollout passes, get on the edge of the pocket and make plays. And now they're getting a little tested.
Illegal substitution. 12 men in the huddle on the offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
And Marvin Lewis doesn't like it, trying to get the officials' attention, trying to tell them exactly what was going on.
Plus 3rd and 8 becomes now 3rd and 13.
Maybe he's telling the official there was a miscount. And he knows, Marvin knows that's a crucial penalty to put the Bengals in an even deeper hole and creating an even more difficult 3rd down situation.
There is no foul. 3rd down.
There you go. Marvin Lewis appeals to a higher court, and it's appealed.
That was the 11th guy coming on the field. Not the 12th.
Should say it's overturned.
Yes. Cincinnati has missed their last 5 3rd down tries. Now 3rd and 8. And 5 in the secondary for Cleveland. Good block by Whitworth. dropped by Simpson. Coverage by Hayden. That is another drop, the third dropped ball by Simpson today. A flag was thrown.
Illegals to the hands of the face. Number 64 offense. Penalty will be declined. 4th down.
That's the center, Kyle Cook.
Well, first of all, let's start with the fact that Joe Hayden, Sheldon Brown, very tight coverage. They're jamming the wide receivers, and this is going to be Kyle Cook in the center. Watch the center. See the hand to the face right there. Peeling off the helmet of a Tuga Rubin.
5th consecutive punt for the Cincinnati Bengals after scoring the first 3 times they had the ball. Cribbs on the move. And read well that time. Tackle made by Vincent Ray. 9-yard return, 42-yard Huber punt, and McCoy is going to get great beginning field position again. Cleveland has scored 3 of the last 4 times they've had it in this West Coast offense. Brand new to the team, haven't had it since 1999. This is Hillis. Pecco grabbed him down to the 40 on a gain of 4. Ironically enough, speaking of the West Coast, it began with Bill Walsh as a Cincinnati coach.
He was an offensive coordinator under Paul Brown, but you can see the West Coast coaching tree for Pat Shurmur. Mike Holmgren is the president here of the Cleveland Browns, and he, Coach Shurmur, started his career under Andy Reid. But you could see Brad Childress was in Philadelphia, so was John Harbaugh, Steve Spagnuolo, and Pat Shurmur brings that West Coast system here. He says the West Coast offense, it's a way of life. We'll explain that as the game progresses.
2nd down and 6. A little short. They came around Cousins on that right tackle, who's been shifting there with Artis Hicks throughout the day. Incomplete.
Shurmur talks about the West Coast system being a way of life. He said it's how you communicate, it's how you practice. You build a team to succeed in the postseason. As you take a look at Mike Holmgren, he won a Super Bowl with Green Bay using the same system. Took Seattle to a Super Bowl and built some success there using the West Coast offense. He said the practice habits are designed to stay healthy. You build it around the quarterback, the defense, and a running game. He said they even go as far as explaining the history of why they use plays, and it helps the players to learn.
McCoy into the nickel. Good pressure on this 3rd down and 6. He got away from Gathers. There's a flag. They were going for little. And the coverage across the way was turned in by Leon Hall, who they have extended his contract as well, have these Bengals.
These cornerbacks, it's tough to compete in a passing league.
That was on 3rd and 6.
Yeah, they're going to challenge you consistently, and every now and then you've got to do a little bit something to give yourself an advantage to win. Now, you're going to get some flags thrown on you if you play aggressively, and there's Hall right there working against Little. And maybe you saw see him holding the jersey there. He was holding on all the way across the field. He wasn't going to lose sight of him because he was trying to look back in and have vision on the quarterback and get a feel for where Little was.
Little's a rookie out of North Carolina. Hardesty's now in the backfield. And they stop play here with 6:37 to play in the 3rd. Cleveland scoring 17 unanswered points. Bill Levy's going to go over and talk with Marvin Lewis.
Cincinnati is challenging the ruling on the field that the ball was tipped prior to the interference. We'll review the play.
They can prove that it was tipped, and it would not be a pass interference penalty.
There's the longest tenured head coach in the history of the Bengals, and we've got a challenge here in Cleveland.
Welcome back. You need clear visual evidence to see if that ball had been tipped, and that would negate the penalty. Morgan Trent right there.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field is confirmed. The pass was not tipped. It's
not
interference.
Tipped.
Cincinnati will be charged. Their first time out.
We showed you right there. We were able to zoom in and show you it was not tipped by Morgan Trent. The ball was so wounded, it sort of changed directions in midair. I can see why Marvin Lewis would want to take a look at it, but I think we had clear, visible evidence that Morgan Trent did not tip the pass from Colt McCoy.
So Cincinnati will lose a timeout. Now 2 remaining, and we're halfway through this 3rd quarter. They've got it at the Cincinnati 13 to the Cleveland Browns. And it will be 1st and 10 at the 33. Hardesty is in the backfield. And around the Cribbs. Picked up nicely on the play. Jonathan Fanene, who only played a couple games last year because of a hamstring, throws him for a loss of 3 back to the 36.
Yeah, but there's Fanene right there. See, he stays with it. And whenever you're that backside in, you ought to hold your water for any reverse motion coming back your way. He was able to contain the football. And I tell you what, if you'd have went down sniffing inside, that would have been a huge play for Joshua Cribbs.
Hillis back in on 2nd down and 13. Going for more. Guarded by Crocker. 3rd and 13.
I got to tell you, if you're Colt McCoy, he's not happy with the effort from Evan Moore. And Evan Moore can flat out fly. We saw him. He's a tight end, got on top of Crocker. But watch this. You've got to get both hands. Find a way to get both hands to the ball, not a one-hander. And that's just not the kind of effort you want to see. Get both hands out in front and see if you can haul that ball in. Why would you try the one-hand catch when you have 2 hands to attempt the catch? Even Evan Moore is not happy with the result.
I think there is some weather moving into the Cleveland area, and we knew this before the game that we would be hit with this at some time. So he is trying, and you can see it is very ominous in the distance.
Hovering over Lake Erie.
I think Bill Levy just wanted to get a quick update to see where it would be.
3rd down, 25 seconds on the play clock.
So 3rd and 13. Colt McCoy has missed his last 4 passes.
And I think on that last one, had a good opportunity to be a touchdown.
Into the nickel, 3rd and 13. They need the 23. Whoops. Nelson comes through. He was initially blocked by Hillis, and then Reggie Nelson, former #1 pick, throws him for a loss of 8. It is the first sack given up by this injured Cleveland line, and they got to punt the ball.
Yeah, Nelson's coming off the top of your screen, but watch the pressure in the face of McCoy. And even though Hillis initially had him blocked, but see, look at the wall in front of him. So he's forced to flush out to his right, runs right into Reggie Nelson, who had been initially blocked by Peyton Hillis.
And more importantly, it moved Cleveland out of field goal range in Dawson. Here is the punt by McGee. And Tate let it bounce, and if Cribbs can catch up with it, which he does, but then he stepped, yeah, he did. He stepped on the goal line. Or the 1! How about that? Let's see here now, and then they're going to discuss it.
I think one said it was in, one said it was out. The one who said it's out is going to win. So it's a great play by Joshua Cribbs. We always talk about Cribbs being a great special teamer, and Tate's got to go ahead and field it, but watch the play made by Joshua Cribbs. Throw it back in, even though he hits the goal line, he's no longer touching the ball. Special teams win games.
This Saturday, the Home Depot SEC on CBS returns when the Tennessee Volunteers head to the Swamp to tangle with the Florida Gators. It all starts with Tim Brando and Spencer Tillman on the Autotrader.com College Football Today. Next Saturday, 3 Eastern, right here on CBS. So Chris with a terrific play. You know, he's led the special teams in tackles over the last couple years, too.
He is one excellent player, and he's trying to pin the Bengals down in their own end zone. They're going to review this. The officials want to see this again because they want to see, once he makes contact with the goal line, is he still touching the ball? I think right there we can't see it.
Because of Ward, he got in the way. Yeah. Let's get another angle on this.
And if he's still touching the ball while making contact with the goal line, then they're going to call this a touchback. He gets rid of it. Wow, I think that right hand may still be on there, but do we have clear, visible evidence of it? Let's take a look, because we're being blocked. Okay, there you go. Hand on the ball, one hand on the goal line. I think they're going to bring this one out to the 20 and rule this a touchback.
That left elbow appeared to maybe hit the chalk.
It was on the ground and it was on the chalk, but they haven't made any turnovers yet. They haven't changed it, so maybe they're saying they did not see enough.
They just challenged right there.
Okay, yeah, now take a look at it.
And actually, Marvin Lewis had talked during that break he just had with the officiating crew and said he was going to challenge it. So the flag was thrown by Lewis. And we saw it from up here.
See, whenever you have those commercial timeouts and you get those coaches have a little bit longer time to think about
that the touching of the kick actually was a touchback. We'll review the play.
And the reason why you want to take a look at this, if you're Marvin Lewis, you're taking a look at your last 5 possessions when you only had 1 first down. They have had 4 3-and-outs in their last 5 possessions. So you want to try to get better field position than sitting there on your 1-yard line. I think the elbow's on the chalk while Joshua Cribbs still has contact with the ball. So I think it's a good review by Marvin Lewis.
Watch the left elbow.
Watch the left elbow. Elbow's the key. See right there.
Yep.
He's on the chalk.
It'll be at the 20.
So watch that left elbow. See there on the chalk. You can see there. I think he's on the chalk. And we can tell his right hand still is making contact with the football.
What button did you hit to blow that up? I like that. I like that.
We've got wonderful tools here with our staff at CBS Sports. It's a top-notch operation.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
But it's nice to be able to give our viewers a really good look at it and seeing some of the same things that the officials are seeing in order to make their judgment call.
You've watched a lot of preseason football. You do the New Orleans Saints in the preseason. I do the Green Bay Packers in preseason. And a lot of people have asked you and I as we've gone around the country, has the lockout affected the way these guys are playing? I mean, the timing, the condition, whatever. Have you noticed anything in that regard?
I do believe it's affecting maybe some of the details of things. And I do think some of the conditioning also. But many of the players you talk to, they say they feel very refreshed going into the season. They don't feel tired. They don't feel like they're ready to hit a wall. And I know Joshua Cribbs, we talked to him about it. He says we'll be able to tell more in the midseason. He said in those years when we had the OTAs and the mini camps, by midseason, you can't help but hit a wall with all the work they're doing in the offseason. So right now he says he feels refreshed, but he thinks he's going to feel even more refreshed as they get to the middle portion of the season.
Boomer Esiason and I did the radio broadcast from Lambeau on Thursday between the Saints and the Packers, and we did notice some shoddy tackling, especially on special teams by those two teams Thursday night.
I think in this game we've had excellent tackling. You can see the wrap around the wrist, that right wrist, the injured wrist of Andy Dalton. So
he's not going to come back.
Yeah, I don't think his return is expected at all by the Bengals.
Bill Levy is still taking a look at the replay that is being started by the challenge and Marvin Lewis.
It's a huge challenge by Marvin Lewis. He knows it.
Either you're beginning at the 1 or you're going to begin at the 20.
Number 16 of Cleveland had his arm on the goal line when he touched the ball. Therefore, it's a touchback. Cincinnati will not be charged a timeout. However, they are done with challenges for the remainder of the game.
They did one early in the game, and they lost that challenge. They win this challenge.
Yeah, and then we give you some good visual evidence there as we talked about it. Look at that left elbow on the chalk, right hand on the ball. I don't know if you can get a better look of it than that. Excellent camera work, by the way.
The hustling Josh Cribbs, who says he now feels more like a receiver. Remember when he used to run all the Wildcat with Cribbs, and that is now out of the playbook here in Cleveland.
No chance of a Wildcat with this West Coast offense coming to town.
Benson in the backfield for Gronkowski. First down and 10. Top of Rubin. As he nears the 25-yard line on a gain of about 4.
Just to give you a comparison of the field position that the Bengals have had here in the second half. In the first half, the average field position was at their own 41-yard line. Here in the second half, they've taken over possession of the ball, an average of at their own 13-yard line. That puts even more pressure on the quarterback, more pressure on the offensive line, because you know Dick Geron, that defensive coordinator for Cleveland, is going to come after the quarterback.
You saw that big number 71 Rubin there, and you see the average drive style. The top of Rubin led all NFL defensive tackles in tackles a season ago. Second down and 5. Benson with a lead block from Presley. Tackled by DeQuell Jackson out to the 29 and a gain of 4.
And now Jay Gruden starting to run it, pound it on that left side. That's where they have the advantage. Kyle Cook, Nate Livings, and the big left tackle Andrew Whitworth, 335 pounds at 6'7". You like to think you can lean behind those guys and pound said Benson and allow him to move the chains.
And here is a 3rd down and 1 and 2 tight ends for Gronkowski. Benson. And he's got the first down.
He's still running.
Still going. Look at that. There goes Sed Benson with the gain of 5. Benson was released from jail last week after serving 5 days of a 20-day sentence for misdemeanor assault. Thought he might do it during the bye week, but decided to do it before the season. So had a full week of practice this past week in preparation for the Browns. And you take a look at some of the numbers, Benson and Hillis.
Almost identical, and Hillis got it going in the second half. We saw him running hard. That first quarter is where Sed Benson did most of his work, and now the Bengals are trying to get themselves back in the game by allowing their running game to do the damage.
And someone was moving as they had the 2 tight ends for Gronkowski.
False start, number 71 offense. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Well, you know what? Andre Smith, he's had so many injuries over the last couple years. They said he's really coming into his own now and really resembling a first-round pick that he was.
There he is, but you can see the movement and cost this team dearly. You know, he hadn't played a whole heck of a lot as a former first-round pick, but he's able to keep his weight down this offseason. They were given it on the practice field during training camp and preseason, and hopefully he'll have a good year.
He's a good run blocker.
Yeah, he's a good run blocker. He's a big guy.
1st and 15 now for Gronkowski. Wide open, Gresham. And tackled on the play by Usama Young. Gresham got a touchdown pass earlier in the game. A 21-yard pass to the 48 of Cleveland and a first down.
And watch the right tackle right here. Watch Andre Smith. This is a great block. See him pushing, and then you can step up in the pocket if you're Bruce Gronkowski by getting that in to run up the field. So really good blocking and great protection that time for the quarterback. And I think this is about as good as we've seen the offense play now that Bruce Gronkowski has come in the second half.
And a 1st and 10. Benson again, initially hit by T.J. Ward, one of the great tacklers on this team, and no gain on the play. And they'll remain at the 48-yard line.
And Dick Duron, defense coordinator for Cleveland, smartly moving T.J. Ward, his safety, up in the box and coming off that right side to the left side of Andrew Whitworth, Nate Livings, Kyle Cook, whom we talked about. That's where the Bengals are wanting to run the ball. And I think you're Dick Duron, you got to know that's where they want to get the damage done when they want to run it. And you move an extra defender in the box to help your defense.
Only 65 yards rushing for Cincinnati. Run defense has been horrendous for the Browns. And so far only 65 allowed. Here they are on Benson again. From the side, they've got Brian Schaefer, who makes the stop, and a gain of 4 to the 43.
I think I've counted 5 consecutive run plays to the left side of that Bengals offensive line on this possession alone. And I think if you're the Cleveland Brown defense, you don't need a coach to tell you what they want to do and where they want to do it. And I know Dick Duron, we talked about him moving T.J. Ward up in the box on that side of the field, but right now they're continuing to pound it off that left side. Now we're facing a big 3rd down play. Let's see if Dick Duron brings some pressure on Bruce Gronkowski.
He's got his secondary in the nickel right now. 3rd down and 5. Good block by Leonard. Brought down to Quell Jackson having a spectacular game. That's the 4th sack by the Cleveland Browns. And they're going to send Gronkowski to the sideline as they hunt the ball.
Good blocking initially, but they come right up the A-gap. See, DeQuell Jackson, they had it blocked up initially, but then as the smaller Bruce Gronkowski started to flush his way out of the pocket, DeQuell Jackson stayed with it and hunted down the quarterback.
Cincinnati was number 1 in punt coverage a season ago. That one's going to ricochet into the end zone and a touchback to the 20-yard line, sailing over Cribbs on a 50-yard punt, and 11 seconds to play here in the 3rd. All right, let's step back here just a second and gain some perspective about what you've seen here in the 3rd quarter. And we do have 17 unanswered points by the Cleveland Browns in the game as a whole.
Well, we've seen the offense continue to stay ready and moving the ball, but more importantly, I'm impressed with the Cleveland Browns defense, who have taken advantage of the good field position, having the Bengals offense pinned in their end and haven't allowed them to do much with the ball. Now, as you sit here with after the good punt, Cleveland's got to prove that they can run the ball, because I think Cedric Benson and that offensive line for the Bengals were starting to heat up on that possession. Got to keep the ball out of the hands of the Bengals offense right here.
Hardesty is in the backfield. Cousins is out at right tackle. Hicks is in there. First down and 10. Spin move and a nice broken tackle right there by Hardesty. Gain of 5. He's up to the 25-yard line, and that will take us to the end of the third quarter. Cincinnati led 13-zip. Cleveland's come back with 17 unanswered. Dalton is out of the game. Gronkowski taking his place at the end of 3. Colt McCoy with a couple touchdown passes in the game. Dalton had a touchdown pass, but he's been knocked out of the game. Gronkowski's taking his place as we start the fourth quarter. And after a punt, it is second down and 5. Hardesty, and then he was hit hard. Reggie Nelson came up and whacked him. He was another one pick by Jacksonville. No gain on the play. And CBS Sports coverage of the U.S. Open concludes tomorrow when world number 1 Novak Djokovic takes on Rafael Nadal in the men's final. And coming up after football today, it's the women's championship where Serena Williams matches up with Sam Stosur. All coming up next from Flushing Meadows here on CBS. 3rd and 5, the nickel secondary for Cincinnati. McCoy, Evan Moore. That is a first down. He'll rumble to the 40. And a hit by Crocker to the 41. Catch and run of 16. First down, Cleveland.
Evan Moore getting open, coming across the middle of the field. How about the protection and the time for Colt McCoy to scan the field? Watch him coming across the formation right there. See him clear his way open. And the backside has to hold with all that motion crossing the field. Crocker comes over to knock him out of bounds, but Colt McCoy finding the open receiver. And he said it's all about, knowing where to go with the football.
Hardesty on 1st and 10. To the 42. Big pile right there and a gain of about a yard. Pecco among others there with that nice stop and finale for Cincinnati.
Colt McCoy talking about learning this West Coast offense, and Pat Shurmur said that they want to teach him the history of the West Coast offense. He said we went back and we watched Sam Bradford, who played in this offense 1 year ago, watched Donovan McNabb. He said we even went as far back and watched Joe Montana and Steve Young. He spent the offseason watching tapes of those guys in the West Coast system.
As you just saw some of the numbers with this game, 2nd down and 9. Crocker stripped the ball. And did Cleveland fall on it as that pocket collapsed in a hurry. Mike Zimmer's got his defense out there. And take a look at Pat Shurmur. That was a sack and a loss of 3 back to the 38.
And watch Crocker come in from the blind side. He's holding on to the ball way too long here and very comfortable with it, not securing it. And what did Marvin Lewis tell him? He said that Colt McCoy, that's the one thing he tends to do, hold on it a little too long. Look at Crocker, comes in, strips it out. I think that ball was kicked right back in the lap of Colt McCoy. Very fortunate to come away with the ball.
Kind of hates to give up on a play.
Yeah, but one thing or another, I think after about 4 seconds, you got to protect it with 2 hands.
Well, it was a 3rd and 12.
Delay game, offense, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
That's the first penalty of the half after they accumulated a ton, including 7 in the first quarter.
Coach Shurmur, he doesn't get upset, doesn't get rattled.
No.
He said he knows he has a young team. There he is now showing a little frustration, but he says a young team, they're going to make some mistakes. He said, as long as we don't make the same mistake twice.
3rd and 17 for McCoy. He needs the Cincinnati 49. Scrambles well. Atkins on his tail. Dunlap was there too. Dunlap, remember, had that great end of the season last year where he had 9 sacks for Cincinnati. They got a punt now, Cleveland does.
Cleveland not able to move the ball, putting the pressure on Colt McCoy. Give a lot of credit to the Cincinnati Bengals defense. I thought they could not allow the Cleveland Browns to have multiple first downs on that drive. They want to get the ball back in the hands of their offense.
Second straight coming up for the Cleveland Browns. And that is retrieved at the 28-yard line. 38-yard punt. Tates with the catch. Another look at Gronkowski and the Bengals. Pat Shurmur, who's got some NFL in his blood as Uncle Fritz Shermer kind of laid the groundwork for his coaching career. Here's now Cincinnati, first down and 10. And Benson into the secondary and chugs his way to the 39. And it's a gain of 11 yards and a first down.
Well, there's his Uncle Fritz Shermer, who was the defensive coordinator with the Rams as well as the Green Bay Packers as well. You see him with the Cardinals there. And remember, when he coached with Mike Holmgren, they won a Super Bowl. And there's his nephew, Pat Shermer, who reads his uncle's book. Fritz Shermer wrote an 80-page book, and it's titled Coaching Team Defense. And while Pat Shermer is a disciple of the West Coast offense, he's near and dear to the defensive side of the ball as well.
Ward on that first and 10 tangled up Benson, and it's a gain of 6 to the 46-yard line.
Yeah, he says he reads his uncle's book every year. Just reads it to stay grounded. It's a book about fundamental principles of football, and he says sometimes as coaches they start to want to be creative and they get so far out on that limb and that they get away from their core beliefs of how football should be played.
Total yards in this game. Fritz Shermer died of cancer back in 1999. He did win a Super Bowl with Holmgren in Green Bay. Second down and 4. Redkowski always got him. He's looking for Green in the coverage by Hayden. Hayden was the #1 pick last year out of Florida. He had the 6 interceptions.
You know, Pat Shermer said that he wanted his cornerbacks to get up in the face of these wide receivers. And yeah, there's the hold right there. And he wanted them to be aggressive. And I believe Hayden has done a really good job playing against A.J. Green today. But, you know, I can tell you, he's only a second-year player, but he already knows those little veteran cheat moves to gain the advantage. And A.J. Green he is hot. He knows he was held on the play.
Green hasn't caught a pass today. Third down and 4. That's knocked away Hayden. Third time today as he jumps in front of Caldwell. Third time today, Hayden has knocked away a pass from a Cincinnati quarterback.
We are seeing a Pro Bowl performance by Joe Hayden today. That's the only way you sum it up. Look how he goes around the offensive wide receiver, Andre Caldwell, to not make contact. You may have been able to penalize him on the previous play, but not on that one.
And the punt taken by Cribbs at the 12, hit by Caldwell, who is down. 42-yard punt. Caldwell slow to get up. So we have a timeout. Under 11 to play in the game with Cleveland on top by 4. We're back in Cleveland after the punt. 7th consecutive punt by Cincinnati. Here's McCoy from the 11, first down and 10. Cribbs. He's on the side working on Leon Hall, and he's spun out of bounds at the 23. Gain of 13 and a first down. Well, it's not too late to play NFL.com fantasy football. The first and only one with in-game video. It's free and easy. Sign up today at NFL.com/fantasy. Cribbs continues to work on his route running. Says that's the one thing that perhaps has not made him the full receiver he wants to be, but works on it diligently. Hillis on first and 10. And brought down on the play. Finene allowing only a gain of 2 to the 26.
And that previous first down pass from Colt McCoy, you could see the arm strength there. And much of these two quarterbacks, Dalton and McCoy, have been criticizing maybe not having the strongest arm, but you can see his arm's plenty strong enough to get the ball outside the numbers on the perimeter of the defense.
He held a lot of workouts down in Austin for this team. The coaches told him, hey, get the guys together if you can down home in Texas.
Call Camp Colt in Austin, Texas.
Second down and 8. Hillis, good block by Mack. And the tackle was made by Thomas Howard after a gain of 5 to the 31.
All right, crank up Peyton Hillis. We saw Montario Hardesty, and now you're getting a look at Peyton Hillis. And I think that's how they're going to try to get Peyton Hillis through the season. He carried a huge load last year, played a lot of games. He was nicked up, but he was so good. And I think with Hardesty, you can have a committee of running back and make sure they get through the season fresh and healthy.
The Bengal is down. We think it's Michael Johnson. We'll take a break. Manny Lawson was the guy that was down. They're working on his ankle, and Brandon Johnson taking his place on this 3rd and 2 From the 31. McCoy. Little. Carolina rookie. He is up to the 44. Picks up 12. That's a Cleveland Browns first down.
Since Peyton Manning's debut in 1998 with the Indianapolis Colts, the Cleveland Browns have had 16 different quarterbacks start, the second most in the National Football League. In that time span, they believe and they hope and they pray that Colt McCoy is the answer, that he will put an end to that streak and will be their starting quarterback for quite some time.
There is a feeling that this may be the long-term answer.
Well, I think they have the coach and quarterback combination. I think you need both in order to have that kind of longevity in the relationship.
Hillis on 1st and 10. No place to run, no place to hide. In fact, they throw him for a loss on the play. We were talking to Hillis the other day, and he was talking about when he was young, his dad thought that he wasn't going to be much of an athlete. I asked him, I go, well, you know, you're such a good pass catcher. He says, yeah, that's what my dad worked with me on. He said, if nothing else, you're going to learn how to catch the ball if you can't run or do anything else athletic.
He said he was a small, scrawny little kid. He said, my dad didn't think I would grow to have any size on me. So he says, yeah, you're going to need speed. You're going to need to be able to catch the ball. He goes 6'1", 240 pounds. Must have had a growth spurt very late in life.
Everything is yes, sir, no, sir. He's a
great kid.
A great kid. 2nd down and 11. Good block by Thomas. And Hillis, he had 61 catches a year ago. You can see there's, again, no place to go. Great coverage by Thomas Howard and the Cincinnati D. And they really did a nice job there. Howard was a great pass cover linebacker with Oakland for 5 years.
Absolutely. He brings over with him, I think, more athleticism at the linebacker position. Remember, Ray Maualuga played his first 2 seasons at the strong side linebacker, and he replaces Dhani Jones now as the middle linebacker. And they add Thomas Howard, they add Manny Lawson. They really like this group of linebackers that they have on the Cincinnati Bengals defense.
Morgan Trent, with the rain falling here, becomes the 5th defensive back on 3rd and 15. Hillis, and they need to get to the 46. And again, the great pursuit. Clemens among a couple. Throw him for a loss of 5. Great defensive stand by Cincinnati.
Yeah, look at Dunlop. See, he blows it up right there. He knifes right in and is able to get in underneath Hillis as well as the quarterback. Almost really foiled the quarterback running back exchange as we start to get some very heavy weather right now. I think it could play a role in the outcome of this football game.
Here is the 3rd straight punt now for the Cleveland Browns.
There you see it.
All the way up.
The rain certainly affected him.
Richmond McGee with that punt out of bounds. Remember, we told you Reggie Hodges tore his Achilles the 2nd day of camp, and McGee took his place. He has struggled this afternoon. 28-yarder there. From the 38 after another punt by Cleveland. It is 1st down and 10. Gradkowski got a nice block from Benson, and that is and drops. On the near side, they're going for Shipley, and Dimitri Patterson just about got it on the ricochet.
And he hurt himself pounding the ground. Look at the block there by Sid Benson. It just stonewalled DeQuell Jackson. Ball thrown slightly behind Jordan Shipley. And you can see almost intercepted by Patterson. Almost came down with that ball. Now he's dinged up and he's down on the ground.
Well, how did he get hurt?
How did he hurt himself? Right there, he appears to be fine. Maybe right, he pounded the ground and hurt himself. Well, he's holding his lower leg somehow.
I think he got hit below the belt. And, yep, you're right, leg. A spasm, maybe?
Let's take a look at the legs. And twist it up a little bit. Not so sure what happened there.
Trying to get over there. He'll come off. So now 2nd down and 10. Cincinnati has punted 7 consecutive possessions. The numbers on Gradkowski on top. 6-12 player in the game. Rain is coming down pretty hard right now.
Oh,
room to roam here for Leonard. Gets by Hayden. And tackled downfield by Usama Young. That's a catch and run of 21 yards. And remember, Leonard is playing with a splint on his finger.
Watch Leonard fakes the block and then just moves out, and look at the room to catch and run there, because no one was assigned to cover him. And Haven has some blocking down the field. So an excellent play design by Jay Gruden, the offense coordinator for the Bengals.
Leonard went on IR late in the season with an ankle injury. Catch and run for 21. Puts him at the Cleveland 40. 1st and 10. Benson. And they stop him right there. Nothing doing. Loss of 2 back to the 42.
Bengals moving the ball now, but they've struggled. As you said, they've punted on 7 consecutive possessions. You can see here in the second half, all 4 possessions have ended in a punt.
Look at Dick Duran instituting the new 43 defense for Cleveland. He's got 5 in the secondary right now on this Cincinnati 2nd down and 12. Got right by Smith, looking for Simpson. And the coverage downfield by Sheldon Brown. That'll bring up 3rd and 12.
And they flush Bruce Gradkowski out of the pocket. Wasn't able to set his feet, and the ball just sails high a little bit on him, coming right at you. Right over the outstretched hands of the intended receiver, Jerome Simpson, who could not come down with it. Oh, so close.
Quick snap, Gradkowski on 3rd and 12. It's wide open. It's the first catch. A.J. Green on a 41-yard touchdown, beating Hayden. And for Green, that is his first NFL reception, and it's good for 6. Holy Toledo.
Stunning play by the Bengals. You have a veteran quarterback in for A.J. Dalton. Joe Hayden doesn't get out on the perimeter by the time they snap the ball, and A.J. Green takes off for the end zone, and Bruce Gradkowski finds him for a touchdown. The Bengals regain the lead.
That was unbelievable.
Just smart heads-up play. And how about the alert play by the rookie wide receiver, A.J. Green?
And Hayden, who's had a spectacular day.
He falls asleep at the wheel on that one.
He did that. Look at that. He'll remember that first catch for the rest of his career and life.
He was frustrated because he felt like he could have made big plays earlier in the game.
Another lead change, and Cincinnati's up by 2. Here is Nugent now to try the extra point with 4.5 to play. So Colt McCoy is going to have his work cut out from him. The Browns, a season ago, lost 4 games in the 4th quarter with leads. They've lost the lead here in game 1 of 2011. Now down by 3. Nugent hits it, and Gradkowski hits Green. Holy cow.
And the crowd here, Kevin, they are stunned because this defense for Dick Duran had been playing so well. And, of course, Joe Hayden had been playing well, probably playing the best of anyone on the defense. And on that play, not able to get out of the huddle and get out to his man, A.J. Green, on the perimeter of the defense. And see it right there? Yeah. He doesn't get there. Quick snap.
The defense wasn't set.
But the offense was.
It was.
And they don't have to wait for you if you're on defense. You know that if you're in your huddle and you see the offense come out of the huddle, having played cornerback and safety in the National Football League, you've got to get out and you've got to get over there as soon as you see them come out of the huddle, even if you don't have the call. Now look, see, they're still in a huddle. Excuse me. See, they're still in a huddle right there. Why are you still in the huddle when the offense is already set and the receivers are lined and you can see they're ready to snap the ball? You have to pay attention continuously.
And Gradkowski cashes in. And they must have a quick count signal. When he saw that they were still trying to assemble and his team was ready to go, he had the quick count, and frustrated Dick Duran after Cleveland had scored 17 unanswered points. Here come the Cincinnati Bengals with a terrific throw to their top draft choice, A.J. Green. So Cribbs is back. He's got a 51-yard kickoff in his hip pocket. And down by just 3. Plenty of time left. And Cleveland with timeouts has 3. And here's the kickoff. And Cribbs will bring it out. Out by Caldwell, who was injured. He's back in. And that's a nice tackle by Reggie Nelson. 28-yard return by Cribbs.
And the great matchup between Joe Hayden and A.J. Green. Joe Hayden's been winning early and pretty much all day. Knifing in underneath. Battling for position, knocking the ball down. But then on the time when he fell asleep and lost his man, it results into a touchdown. Dick LeBeau said, and when you play in the secondary, you make one mistake. The official standing in the end zone, holding up both arms, signaling a touchdown. Can't make mistakes on the back end of your defense.
Manny Lawson is back in defensively for Cincinnati. He was out before. 1st and 10 for McCoy at the 21. Hillis. And Leon Hall to bring him down, and he gets some help in the gang tackle at the 32. That's a catch and run of 11 and a first down for Cleveland. Well, I just said that last season they blew 4 fourth quarter leads, did the Cleveland Browns.
And might they blow another one here today? I think the question remains. Is now on Colt McCoy to prove he can be the quarterback the Browns expect him to be. Pat Shurmur allowing his quarterback to make a 4th quarter drive. This is the stuff that really allowed quarterbacks to take their game to the next level. If Colt McCoy is going to be that guy, right now would be a good time to start.
Here they get with the blitz on 1st and 10. McCoy to Evan Moore. And that was incomplete. Reggie Nelson was there. Clemens vacuumed in the loose ball, but it had already hit the turf, and it was incomplete.
Now, this is just good coverage because I think Moore had the catch, but before he can get possession of it, look at that. Reggie Nelson pries it loose. And remember, for it to constitute a catch, he has to have possession and create a football act, and that ball had been pried loose before Evan Moore hit the ground.
In Cleveland with the 3 timeouts, so they have it now 2nd down and 10. McCoy incomplete, looking for Little. Leon Hall is right there and defending for Cincinnati. 58th consecutive start today.
How about the Bengals defensive backs now making plays on the ball? We saw Reggie Nelson prying it loose, and now Leon Hall knifing in underneath to get this ball out. It's against the rookie wide receiver from North Carolina, Greg Little. He is expected to be a good one, but right now Leon Hall is having his way with the young receiver.
Bengals have gone to the nickel, and that's what McCoy reads at 3rd and 10. Going deep, and for Massaquoi. And the coverage by Clemens. And that's incomplete with the rain still falling, and Cleveland has got a punt.
Yeah, I think if you're Cleveland, it's the right thing to do. Turn the game over to your defense with under 4 minutes to go, 3.5. You know you probably can get one more possession, but you need to stop defensively first.
There's McGee, and he's had a rough afternoon punting for the Cleveland Browns. A 4th consecutive punt coming up for him. Brandon Tate is back for Cincinnati at the 25. Tate's already called for the fair catch at the 32. And a flag has been thrown at the 21 on the near sideline. There goes McGee. He's out of Texas.
And that punt didn't have a whole lot of hang time on it.
So we've had 2 touchdown passes by Cincinnati quarterbacks. Dalton had a touchdown pass early in the game. Gradkowski moments ago to the rookie Green of 41 yards. And 2 touchdown passes by McCoy, as this penalty is going to go against Cincinnati. Each of these teams won on their home field a year ago. As Bill Levy is going to have a conversation with Pat Shurmur in his first game as an NFL head coach. Wasn't the first choice of the Browns, but he might have been the best of the group they were considering.
12 men on the receiving team. Penalty is declined. First down.
Well, next Sunday, the NFL on CBS rolls out doubleheader action. First, the Jaguars jump on the Jets where the Raiders battle the Buffalo Bills. Then Phillip Rivers and the Chargers take on Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. Check your local listings, beginning with the NFL Today. JB, Dan, Coach, Shannon, and Boomer on the NFL Today, presented by Southwest Airlines. That's week 2 of the NFL, next week on CBS.
Football is definitely back. We've seen ourselves one well of a football game here today, and it's not over because Bruce Gradkowski, he can stick the ball in the belly of Cedric Benson, and they can turn out the lights on Cleveland on this possession.
First and 10 to Benson. He's over 70 yards rushing today. Carves a little bit, and Phil Taylor, the rookie, makes the stop. We've had 2 rookies start on that defensive line this afternoon for the Cleveland Browns. It was a gain of 3, and they'll spot him at the 36.
And those 2 defensive linemen for Cleveland, the rookies, Jabal Sheard and Philip Taylor, they played very well. I think they've done a really good job. Now, I think this is where you really assert yourself. You talk about the conditioning or the lack thereof from not having the workouts during the offseason. This is where I think you have to really set yourself apart as a player and as a football team. You've got to be able to make plays late in games in the fourth quarter where games are decided.
Cleveland just took a timeout as you take a look at Bruce Gradkowski taking place of the injured rookie starter on a TCU, Andy Dalton, who was hit by 2 interior defensive linemen for the Browns. Hurt his wrist. It is now on ice. Gradkowski has come in, and after kind of a sluggish start, he just moments ago threw a 41-yard touchdown pass to rookie A.J. Green as Dalton watches on the sideline. So Gradkowski with some NFL experience in the West Coast. He's a journeyman quarterback. He has a 2nd down and 7 after that Cleveland timeout. And Cedric Benson stiff arm his way for some room and runs out of some room on the near side. Chris Gokong makes the stop. No gain on the play. Benson has rushed for 75 yards this afternoon.
Yeah, and maybe Jay Gruden, the offense coordinator, going to the well one too many times to Sid Benson running off that left side. We saw in 77, John Greco and other defenders knife right in, nearly tackled Benson in the backfield. So going to have to dial up something a little bit different here on 3rd and long.
Shouldn't have gone out of bounds.
Yeah, you should not have gone out of bounds. Not a smart play. And could have taken some more time off the clock had he stayed in bounds.
Leonard in the backfield, 3rd down and 7. Tackle right there by one of those rookies you were talking about out of Baylor, Phil Taylor. It's a gain of 4. He's up to the 40-yard line.
It's the stop the Cleveland Browns wanted. That's why you punt on that previous possession, and you hope that the defense can pitch a 3 and out.
Cleveland has just taken a 2nd timeout. They've got 1 remaining for first-year head coach Pat Shurmur, who comes from the St. Louis Rams.
He's had some big plays in this game. It all started where Andy Dalton was able to find Jermaine Gresham for a touchdown in the end zone. How about Colt McCoy going up top to his tight end, Benjamin Watson, and then going to the other tight end, Evan Moore, for a touchdown. And there is the injury that knocked out Andy Dalton of this game. But Bruce Gradkowski comes back, take the lead. While the Cleveland Browns defense fell asleep, he goes up top to A.J. Green for a touchdown and a lead in the football game.
Rain started about 15 minutes ago. And so now it is 4th and 3, and Kevin Huber will take the field for the Bengals to punt the ball. Deep back is Joshua Cribbs, and his big claim to fame today was a 51-yard kickoff return back in the first half. Not much of a punt. And here comes Cribbs from the 24 with a seam and a great block, and then he runs into his blocker. And that was the wide receiver, Greg Little, who ran right into Cribbs, who's got to catch his breath on a 21-yard return on just a meager 37-yard punt by Huber.
Well, it was a very bad punt because it wasn't in the air very long. But watch number 15, Little. He's trying to throw a block here on the punter. And then he also runs right into Joshua Cribbs. And if Cribbs been able to get an inch around that block, he's going to run for a touchdown.
So let's see what is up. The quarterback of Cleveland, Colt McCoy. There were 17 unanswered points by Cleveland after they trailed 13-0, came on top 17-13. Then they got the touchdown pass, did the Bengals moments ago. So here's McCoy with a timeout remaining and off to Hillis, who was hit by Maualuga on the completion, and a gain of about 2. They'll spot it at the 46-yard line.
How about Maualuga? Boy, he brings a lot of speed and quickness and tenacity to that middle linebacker position. The way he closed on The offensive player on that play was just phenomenal. You can see his speed very evident.
Into 5 defensive backs, 2nd down and 8 for McCoy. Watson juggles it away, incomplete. 3rd and 8.
Well, we said the weather could play a role in this game. If you're in that 2-minute area of the game right now, 2:15, Colt McCoy, you got to put the ball in the air. You would hope to have some sure throws and sure catches. Ben Watson had been sure-handed receiver earlier in the game. Now with the torrential downpour and all the water on those gloves, not able to haul it in.
McCoy faced with 3rd down and 8. Dunlap with a big hit, and that pressure from Dunlap forces the errant pass, which brings up 4th down. McCoy was drilled, and Dunlap, number 96, the one to get him.
Yeah, at the top of your screen, watch him walk Joe Thomas back into the quarterback and coming in against, number 75, Pat Murray.
Artis Hicks is playing that tackle right now. They've kind of gone back, and now 4th down, and Shermer is going to go for it.
This is where you have to go for it. I think you have to give Colt McCoy a chance. Right there, you didn't see the protection he needed. Now, if protection holds up, you got to hope he can make the play.
Got to get to the 46 of Cincinnati.
Dunlap again with the pressure.
Knocked it away. There's a flag. Dunlap came in hard.
Wow.
As did Robert Gathers.
Touch of a pass, number 55 offense. Penalties decline. 1st down, Cincinnati.
On downs, the Bengals get it back. That was a series authored by rising player Carlos Dunlap, number 96.
Look at him, just walking right back into the face of the quarterback. You can see the reach, and then going for the quarterback. McCoy couldn't do anything with it. See, he's looking to this size, but look at Dunlap right in his face. Dunlap is a big, imposing 6'6", 290-pound defensive end out of Florida in his 2nd year. You mentioned it. 9.5 sacks in the final 8 games last year, and he's picking up where he left off.
He missed all the preseason with a knee injury. This is his first action of the 2011 season.
The offensive line failed the quarterback and coach on that possession.
And 1st and 10. Benson takes it up. Benson today on the ground has picked up about 80 yards on that gain of 4. Reached the 2-minute warning with Cincinnati coming from behind to lead by 3. At the 2-minute warning, 2nd down and 6 now for Cincinnati. And Benson to the 38 on a gain of 3. I just showed you Dunlap, who was so sensational on that last series. We've seen a couple of good series defensively for Cincinnati and stifling Cleveland. Well, coming up after this game here in Cleveland, we'll take you to Flushing Meadows in New York with Serena Williams against Sam Stosur in the women's title of the U.S. Open. Right after football, right here on CBS. Cleveland has just taken their final timeout, so now they are out. Rain has been going on here for a little more than a half hour. We thought there might in fact be some more severe weather, but right now it is just raining on McCoy. And they were down early where the Cleveland Browns, they were down 13-0 as Cincinnati scored on their first 3 possessions. And then Cleveland came back with 2 touchdowns and McCoy throwing both of them, and they led 14-13 did the Browns. Then we've had really a punt-filled second half until a surprising 41-yard touchdown pass from the backup quarterback Gronkowski to the rookie A.J. Green, which has put the Bengals on top and seemingly now in control. Here is a 3rd and 3 with the Browns out of timeouts, and that seals it. There is the dagger, and the Cincinnati Bengals are going to win on opening day. A 39-yard touchdown run by Benson. It puts them over 100 yards and seals the win for the Bengals.
So much of the money has been made by running on the left side behind Whitworth, but now they go to the right side. Look at him, right behind the fullback. Upfield is Hayden. There is no secondary defender. No one is there to make the tackle on said Benson. Once he clears the initial line of scrimmage, this one is a jailbreak. It's out the gate and into the end zone. T.J. Ward overran the play. And there was no secondary defender to tackle Benson.
Benson now at 121 yards on the day. Here is Mike Nugent with the extra point. 1:49 to play Cleveland out of timeouts, and it's 27-17 Cincinnati. Boy, have we had swings in this game. Bengals 13-0. Then Cleveland 14-13 at halftime, and then up 17-13. And now the last two scores by Cincinnati.
Take a look at the touchdown, and we're going to freeze it there as he look at this is Hayden's. Freeze it right there, and see, you've got to be there if you're the safety, and DeQuell Jackson comes underneath that block, and so that's where the hole is created. The secondary defenders are not there between the linebacker and safety. Total breakdown in terms of their run fits, not getting fitted in the proper hole. Kick out block by Presley on Joe Hayden. You can see Jackson comes underneath. TJ Ward doesn't get over the top. That's why you have a seam in the defense for an easy run for a touchdown.
The Bengals last season only had 3 runs over 20 yards. Ward couldn't get the elusive Benson on that one. And Benson comes up and puts it in the end zone on the 39-yard touchdown run.
That puts Benson well over 100 yards rushing on the day, 121 on 25 carries. That's what happens in the NFL, and that's why you stick with the running game. Sooner or later, you feel like you're going to pop one.
Well, here's Cribbs now awaiting the kickoff from Mike Nugent of Cincinnati. And Cribbs had the 51-yard kickoff return back in the first half, and Cleveland needs one desperately right now. They need a couple scores, and they're wisely just going to chip it away. Cribbs will come under it and fields it cleanly, and then was initially hit by Jeremy Miles as an 11-yard return. Someone lost a shoe, and the Bengals will be back on defense, and the Bengals will be back at it next week at Denver, is where they'll go to take on the Broncos.
They're one of 4 teams that will begin the season with their first 2 games on the road. You mentioned in Denver next week, and then back home against the 49ers and the Buffalo Bills. Their next 5 games, that's considered to be the easiest schedule in the National Football League. And if you're Marvin Lewis, you feel a little bit of relief to have your starting quarterback, Andy Dalton, knocked out of the game, come from behind with Bruce Gradkowski to win it.
So here is McCoy, 1st and 10, dumps it out short. Here is Hillis. Trent will force him out of bounds at about the 31-yard line. And Peyton Hillis will pick up 3. The clock is at 1:38, and Cleveland is out of timeouts, and the Browns coming up.
I don't know that they're so fearful now going to Indianapolis without Peyton Manning, the way that Kerry Collins played today. Remember, it was a game that Indy lost playing in Houston. Then they've got Miami, Tennessee, and then a bye week.
McCoy with a 2nd down and 7 from his own 32. That was tipped, I believe, and it was coming off the edge, and Michael Johnson may have gotten a hand on that pass by McCoy. McCoy looks like perhaps he was there, and Johnson, 93, is the one who was leaping up in front of that McCoy throw.
And Carlos Dunlap, he's taken over this football game. Watch number 96 at the bottom of your screen. Look at that. He's getting pressure. Michael Johnson nearly tipped the ball, but yeah, Dunlap's getting hits on the quarterback, and both guys are big. Johnson 6'7", 265. Dunlap 6'6", 290, making their presence felt.
3rd and 7 for McCoy. Norwood. And he's close to a 1st down. He was hit by Crocker at about the 38. It's a gain of 7. Norwood comes off the practice squad a year ago, then was inactive for the Browns.
The difference in this game, I believe the offensive line faltered a little bit. The protection that McCoy once enjoyed early in the game, coming back here in the 4th quarter, hasn't been so easy because the offensive line, I think, has just not held up with Michael Johnson and Carlos Dunlap providing the pressure. And then what can you say about Bruce Gradkowski, his veteran leadership, recognizing the fact that the Cleveland Browns defenders had fallen asleep, taking a shot down the field to A.J. Green and getting the lead with that kind of play. Had nothing to do with scheme, had everything to do with being alert.
There's Gradkowski, Simpson at his side, and Gradkowski taking the place of the injured Andy Dalton. Again, all we've heard is it's just a wrist injury. The ice, as you can obviously see, has been taken off that right wrist, and throughout the week, I'm sure you'll get all kinds of updates from the folks that cover the Bengals, and we'll find out where he stands after today. We showed you moments ago a picture of Artis Hicks. He has been playing the right tackle and struggling against Dunlap. Hicks has A guy who was signed last Sunday after being released by Washington. He had 10 starts for the Redskins a year ago. He did not start. That was O'Neal Cousins, who was claimed off Baltimore's waivers 2 weeks ago. So they've had some injuries on that Cleveland line. Pashos couldn't go. 4th and inches after the measurement, and a pickup of 2 in the first down. So no timeouts for Cleveland since he's got 2. You see the clock continuing to go, and they are at their own 40 with the 1st and 10. They're just teeing up now on McCoy, who lost the ball. It's intercepted. That's Johnson. Interception, fumble, I'm not sure. We'll have to see. That is the first turnover of the game. And it was grabbed in mid-flight on the, looked like it slipped out of McCoy's hand, obviously, and picked up by Michael Johnson of Cincinnati.
I think it's going to be called a fumble. Look, his hand's coming forward without the ball. I mean, it's not a throw. But the ball, see right here, the ball comes out. That's going to be ruled a fumble.
Good call.
But the alert Michael Johnson, you sooner or later going to be rewarded for your hustle. You're never going to get an easier play than that one there. Fumble recovery by Michael Johnson, Bengals ball. And, you know, the way this thing had ended for the Cleveland Browns, it's got to be disappointing because they played really well today. And now it's just snowballing in a negative way.
Carlos Dunlap is the player down. It looked like he may have caught a knee from Johnson, who was retrieving that loose ball. As you take a look at Dunlap, he led him in sacks, as we mentioned last year. He was second among all rookies in back of Sue at Detroit, and he only played 12 games. He was the first rookie to lead the Bengals in sacks since 1990. But he had a real push on that line in this second half, when really the defense of the Bengals began to assert themselves in the fourth quarter, and he kind of led the way.
If you're looking for a tipping point in this game, I think it has to be the throw from Gratkowski to A.J. Green, but also on that drive within 2 minutes to go, Carlos Dunlap on the 3rd down play and the 4th down play provided the pressure on Colt McCoy that allowed them to get the Cleveland Browns out of the game and get the ball in the hands of Cedric Benson, where he was able to add another 7 points just a few plays later.
Just some housekeeping. They are ruling it an interception by Michael Johnson, and down to an knee goes Gratkowski, who took the place of the injured Dalton and gets his Bengals a win on the road in Cleveland. What a great way to start. Marvin Lewis told us last night we have a new page. We have turned over. A new chapter started. Everybody is on the same wavelength there now. You can see the notables that have left. Terrell Owens and Ocho Cinco. No more Carson Palmer. So new players and a new feel for Lewis and the Bengals.
No, I think Marvin Lewis is just elated. And, you know, no more distractions in the locker room. And any of the players, I think Andrew Whitworth said, hey, there's no more elephants in the room.
Yes.
And
no more excuses, he said.
No more excuses, absolutely.
So now Marvin Lewis is only 4 wins away before he'll become the winningest coach in the history of the Bengals. He's coached more than Paul Brown and more than Sam Weish, and this is 9th year. Benson, a big-time touchdown run and a big day on the ground, 121 yards. So that's our final score. Bengals 27, Cleveland 17. For Solomon Wilcott, Kevin Harlan, good afternoon from rainy Cleveland, Ohio.